touchdown, and a ton more. Barkley, touchdown. Down by 9 now in the battle for first place. Barkley! Does he have another one? Yes, he does. Touchdown.
All right, a Friday edition of The Zone right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Sterling Holmes, Dylan Michaels, Jack Johnson heading up until 2 o'clock. The next 4 hours, we've got you a lot of stuff to get into and talk about today. We will discuss some NFL football, surprisingly. We will talk some college football, college hoops. We will get into some kicking. We'll kick some things around over the next 4 hours or so. We'll hear from Lee Sterling coming up later on this hour. We will talk with Matt Derrick here in studio, Chiefs Digest. 41 is the Mike podcast. We'll hang out with him for the hour. We will talk with Kendall Gammon, and we will hang out with Mick Schaefer coming up at about 12:30 or so. Andy Reid will be at 1 o'clock. Little sad fans. We'll tell you who's lighting it up. All of that still to come over the next 4 hours on our final show of the week. 913-912-4810. Then we got some high school football coming up tonight. I'll be out at the Lee Summit North and Lee Summit football.
Ooh.
A little football contest that they're having, a little sports ball thingy going on there.
Who you rooting for?
You know what? I'm going to take the good team, Lee Summit North. I'm going to take the good guys. I'll go with the good guys in this.
Are you going
one.
to dress up? Are you going to wear like Lee
Just
Summit?
wear what I'm wearing.
I didn't know if you're going to wear
So
like
it's probably
all
as
Lee
close
Summit.
to it's probably as close to
shorts.
black and maroon as I'm going to get.
Yeah,
so
true.
I'll just wear what
I got
I'm
a pair
wearing
of maroon
right now.
pants you could borrow.
You are a maroon. 913-912-4810 is the text line. I don't think they would fit. They're skinny jeans on you. So
They're not skinny.
they would be
they're
Mike
neither skinny
they'd
nor
be Mike
jeans.
McDaniel on me.
They
Be a
are.
flood coming. It's not rain in the forecast tonight.
That's right.
It's not skinny nor jeans. The maroons are like golf pants.
Yeah, so even more like Mike McDaniel.
Yeah, a little more like.
I think there needs to be a potential wager in the fourth hour of the show with me and Mick.
Yeah,
as well for
that
high
is
school
true.
football tonight.
It's a big one tonight there.
But he will lose eventually.
Yeah,
because
if,
Aquinas will win.
If I was not heading out to Lee Summit to watch North win tonight, I'd be heading over to Mill Valley and Aquinas. That's going to be awesome.
What's Blue Valley North up to? They.
You're going to have to tell me. That's your
Yeah, I don't know. I don't. I have people tell me, and then if they're good, I celebrate.
I know
if they're
my
bad,
alma,
I go.
I know I've
don't
talked about who my alma mater is playing.
High school's
Dylan,
over.
what about yours? Your alma
Jason.
mater
Plays tonight as well.
Yep. You've known that.
against
Sterling, what about yours?
High school's over, boys.
Okay, very good. Jack?
I got no idea.
Oh, okay, great. Dylan, you and I. I think we should be recognized by our alma maters publicly, really, at the town square. And in their alumni magazines, if they have
I'm actually
one.
going in
Not
the
sure.
Ring of Honor tonight. As
See,
well,
look at
so,
that,
yeah,
Dylan.
I know.
Is that true?
No.
Oh God!
God,
you
no.
you sold me on that one. You're like, yeah, I know. That's pretty cool. Like,
Oh, I know exactly who blew.
but here's the thing, though.
It'd be like Wild Thing, Major League Hall of Shame.
But
Most
here's the
wild
thing.
pitches.
That would be perfectly on brand for Dylan to drop it as a little bit of an add-in, just as a
The day of.
Yeah.
just like, well, I'm also going into the Ring of Fame tonight for them. So
I would
that's
show
cool.
up,
Yeah,
Dylan.
no, it's fine.
I would support you.
Yeah, I would actually have to change my plans then if that was the case. So I'm glad that that's not happening because, well, I guess I could just wait and watch
The
Losing
bar
North
is set
next
much
week.
higher than that.
By the way, the Blue Valley North Mustangs powerhouse that beat DeSoto, that beat Leavenworth, they now play tonight,
Yeah.
7 p.m. versus
guess.
St. James Academy.
There you go. Okay. I'm glad you Googled that. Well done. You figured that out. You going to be
You
there?
think I Googled that?
You going to be
Come
there?
on.
Or are you going to be watching on Netflix
I
at 7 o'clock?
asked Jeeves that.
Netflix, 7 o'clock tonight?
Yeah.
Tyson and
Come
Jake
on.
Paul?
Come on, Tyson. What time do you think that fight actually starts?
I don't know. Hopefully after the high school football games are over, but I'm
Probably
not sure.
like 11. Let's be real. It's
I'm not
boxing.
sure. I'm hoping, but yeah, hopefully after the games are over, Tyson with a slap across the face to Jake Paul. Not unprompted, by the way. He didn't just do it randomly. Jake Paul tried to get away with stepping on Tyson's foot. And Mike Tyson has talked about how bad his feet are and how his feet hurt him all the time. And when somebody touches his feet, he reacts. You think Jake Paul didn't know that? He walked up and just barely stepped right on the top of Mike Tyson's foot. And
You
Tyson
think the
just-
promoters didn't know that?
No, that was organic. What are you talking? That wasn't planned. That wasn't pre-planned or anything. That was organic. That was fine. Although Jake Paul did wear it like a champ, just like took the slap and was like, "I'm right here, dude." And that was a hell of a slap too. That wasn't like a just love tap, dude. That had some force behind it. So we'll see. Hopefully it was not planned. Hopefully there's some vitriol. And Jake Paul saying that Mike Tyson needs to die tonight. I think that's extreme. But, maybe that's what gets him ready to go for this particular fight.
Do you think he's going to make Jake Paul's going to be this time the guy that goes, my back is broken?
What's vertebrae?
Spinal.
All right, 913-912-4810 is the text line. The charmed season of the Chiefs continues. Their incredibly lucky streak. We got more information about more luck for the Chiefs last night, how fortunate they are that they don't have to go the next 4 weeks with Harrison Butker as their kicker. I mean, you want to talk about this team catching breaks. I mean, they just, every single time it's finding 4-leaf clovers. All in a field of 3-leaf clovers, they're the ones finding the random 4-leaf clovers. It's like the luck of the Irish, only I don't know how many guys on the team are Irish. Butker does look Irish. Maybe he is. But the Chiefs overall, he's got the red hair, he's got a little ginger to him,
Not as many O'Connells. Who's the old tight end like years ago?
O'Shaughnessy or something
O'Shaughnessy. That guy,
Yeah.
James O'Shaughnessy.
Oh, Shaughnessy.
Yeah, that guy was definitely Irish.
So Harrison Butker is out for 3 to 4 weeks. He's having his knee scoped, something that I guess had been bothering him throughout the season. Somebody had pointed out on Twitter last night, one of the Twitter doctors. I know that comes off as sarcastic, but there are actually people on Twitter that are doctors that...
There's like no way to not say it that way.
I know. There was a Twitter doctor on X last night.
I think we did cover this one time. There was a doctor on Twitter last night. Twitter
doctor sounds like you're being a smart ass.
Doctor before Twitter.
Yep. There are doctors that also tweet about sports injuries and their assessment, and one of them pointed out that Harrison Butker keeps going down to a knee this year as he's kicking. That he keeps, when he's swinging through, he keeps going down to one knee on his left knee, and just pointed out, like, as that happens, it's different than the last couple of years. He might have been feeling the pain, and it just slowly wore down, and then it got to a point to maybe where he didn't feel like he was going to be 100% to kick for this team. I should also point out his last kick so far this year was the one he shanked and landed at like the 25-yard line that Dave Tobe said, no, we were trying to kick that thing through the end zone, and Harrison Butker slips and shanks that thing, and it lands at the 25-yard line, and they get it at the 40. And I'm annoyed because I'm like, here we go, Dave Tobe again trying to. But as we found out the last 2 times that I was annoyed by Dave Tobe, not kicking it through the end zone, the call was to just kick it through the end zone. And Butker missed both of them on Monday night, and then on Sunday against the Broncos. But we find out that Harrison Butker is now injured, will go into the knife. Luckily, it is not season-ending. It's a cleanup, 3 to 4 weeks, going to be placed on IR, and in comes Spencer Schrader, a man who I learned the name of Spencer Schrader last night. And if you don't think I'm going to call him Cody Schrader 4 or 5 times over the next 4 weeks, you are wrong, okay? You are absolutely wrong. Plus, I just put it in everybody's head. So we're all going to do that.
Could they have at least done something hilarious and brought in Harrison Mevis? So you're going Harrison to Harrison and a guy who was on the Carolina practice squad and pick up another guy who used to kick on the Carolina practice squad. I thought Harrison Mevis was the answer.
I don't know why you would have thought that you would have gone with the thicker kicker. It's weird. I'm not sure the connection there.
The Harrison.
I see. That's what it is.
H squared, the Harrys.
It's the Harrison Butkers and Mevises.
Harry Butker.
They go with Spencer Schrader, who was on the practice squad of the New York Jets, kicked earlier this year in Week 1 for the Indianapolis Colts. He has not missed a field goal yet this year. He is 3 for 3. He has not missed an extra point yet this year. He made all of his field goals for the Jets this past weekend. He was on the practice squad for the Jets. The Chiefs claimed him off the practice squad. The Jets offered him a 53-man roster on the Jets, and he declined to take the opportunity with the Chiefs. Being reported in New York that he was offered a 53-man roster spot with a chance of that to grow into a permanent job. And instead, he said, I'll take my chances for 3 or 4 weeks with the Chiefs rather than an opportunity to maybe be the kicker the rest of the way for the Jets. And so now the Jets are going with Anders Carlson, and the Chiefs are going with Spencer Schrader for the next 3 or 4 weeks. And if the Chiefs get a Super Bowl, he'll get a ring. And maybe if he's more highlighted, because people are going to be watching 3:30 there in Buffalo. If he makes big kicks, more people will have heard of Spencer Schrader than they would have until last night, because I didn't know who he was. He's played for 2 different teams, and I had no clue this guy existed.
The Jets also are going on to their 4th kicker now in 4 weeks. So I don't think the job security was necessarily strong there. He actually might have better job security in KC.
Well, I think that was the point of, like, if you succeed, you went 3 of 3 this past weekend. If you continue to make your kicks, you could be the kicker the rest of the way because they're trying to find somebody. You know, the Chiefs were searching, and they went and got Harrison Butker off the practice squad, and he has been awesome.
Yeah.
You know, it was a struggle when he first started, but he has been great. He's the best kicker in the league. And I will have no pushback on that. He is the, don't push me, push Bob. He is the best kicker in the NFL.
Him and Brandon Aubrey.
Brandon Aubrey's been around for 5 minutes.
Agreed.
He's got a huge, strong leg, okay, but he missed like 5 or 6 kicks.
Hasn't made a single meaningful postseason kick either.
100%. Barely made any meaningful regular season kicks.
That's also true.
But he's got a phenomenal leg. All right,
but he does have to look right into the sun when he does it.
That's a great point. When's the last time Harrison Butker got blinded by the sun while kicking a field goal? That is never, okay?
I want me some glory hole.
That's right. That's right. Aubrey could hit it right through that, you know? Goalposts are easy when you're aiming for that. But I think Harrison Butker is the best kicker in the league. Dating back to last year to current, Harrison Butker on field goals and extra points has swung his leg through a football 115 times. He's made 110. He's got game winners. He's brilliant in the postseason. He's brilliant late in games. He is one of the most clutch kickers that I can think of. He's 16 of 17 from 40 and 50 yards in the last 2 years. And he's 2 of 3 from 60 in the last 2 years. Meaning he's 18 of 20 from 40 plus, including 2 of those being 60-yarders. He's 18 of 20 in AFC Championship and Super Bowls. He's 6 of 6 in game-tying or game-winning field goals in the fourth quarter overtime in postseason play. He's the best kicker in the league.
Agreed.
Okay.
All I was saying was Brandon Aubrey's been outstanding, but yes, I would take Butker over any kicker in the NFL.
100%.
And what it comes down to is we've not had to worry, and the Chiefs have not had to worry about a kick. How comfortable do you feel when Butker is any kick?
Very.
55 yards and in, you're like, that's good. 60 yards and in, you're like, he's probably still going to make this.
It's a crazy feeling because, like, watching the Chiefs after, you know, growing up and you know, in the 80s and them struggling, and then the 90s, Marty and Carl turning everything around and Arrowhead becoming what it is today, and then, you know, the Dick Vermeil era when they couldn't stop anybody, but there was just fun games, to now watching them win 3 Super Bowls in 5 years. Like, there's an element of, like, I can't believe, like, this is happening, right? There's a lot of people around Kansas City that are like, well, this is not the reality that I ever thought I'd be living in. This is always somebody else's, you know, season or team or dynasty. It's also the most comfortable I've ever felt in my life when any kicker lines up for a kick. Like, it is crazy. Like, you shouldn't feel like, well, this is going in. Especially when 2 years ago when he was battling through the ankle injury and the extra points were an issue and field goals were an issue. And then we talked about, was the holding the problem? Was it Tommy Townsend's fault? Was Winchester not snapping it correctly? Like, the whole operation was called into question. And then last year, it's like, oh, he's healthy now. And he misses 2 kicks all of last year in extra points and field goals. 2 the whole year. He swung his foot through a football 73 times. He made 71 of them in the regular season alone. All right, then you go into the postseason when He's making everything. And so now it's a scary combination because this team is winning close games. They are playing close games, and you've got an incredibly unknown kicker who in week 1 was kicking for the Colts, last week kicking for the Jets. Now he's kicking for the undefeated Super Bowl champions in Buffalo. I don't know what is more stressful, kicking for your job or kicking when a game's on the line or kicking when you have to have it. I don't know. I would guess kicking for your livelihood is a little more stressful than I just got to make this kick because this ties the game here in the fourth quarter. Yeah. Or if I miss this kick, I get fired and I'm out of a job, and then I go to my high school field and I kick field goals to keep working out until somebody calls me, hoping somebody will call me. That's pretty stressful. So we'll see what he does on Sunday, but I won't feel comfortable. I would feel comfortable if Butker was there. How much of a concern, Jack, is this to you and Sterling with the combination of the Chiefs winning close games, and now you take away one of a decent portion of the reason why you feel comfortable in winning close games because you don't feel like that kick is going to be missed?
It's certainly alarming because you have to alter your late game situation, your game plan there, how you orchestrate the offense. Whereas if Butker's out there, at minimum, get to the 43-yard line of Buffalo, get to the 44, try a 60-plus yard field goal for the win. Now you can't do that just because this kid has only made 3 NFL field goals before. I think the exciting part about it, if you are one of those fans that gets frustrated if Andy Reid sends out the field goal unit on 4th and 1 from the opponent's 30 in the first quarter, hey, this time around,
that's a great point.
It's going to have to be more of an aggressive approach. Maybe they're seeing what he's doing in practice right now and say, we're not changing our game plan. We're going to put you out there to make these kicks, and if you've got the leg, we're not going to alter what we do. But I feel like mentally, first quarter is different than the fourth quarter. If you're trying to drive down the field for a game-winning kick, I'm sorry. I'm not just saying, well, let's get to the 40-yard line and give him a chance. If you're going to kick that field goal, I think it has to be inside of 50 yards because his long is, 47, 48?
He made 4 50-yard field goals at Notre Dame last year.
Yeah.
He was 4 of 7 of 50-plus. He made a 50, 54, or a 50, 53, 54, 54. So he made 4 of those. He missed a 50-yarder, a 56-yarder, and a 59-yarder. I did not look at the video to see if he missed those short or right or left or if they were blocked or whatever. I just know that he made 4 50-plus yard field goals. But to your point, Jack, that's an interesting I love to examine that of okay, it's 4th and 1 at the 20, let's say the 20-yard line. All right, 4th and 1, 20-yard line, your first drive of the game against Buffalo. With Harrison Butker there, go for it. Go for it. In an odd twist of playing the exact opposite. With Spencer Schrader, kick it. Put the ball through the uprights. See what you have. If he barely makes it or shanks it, now I know what I have the rest of the game. I'm playing the rest of the game with a little more information. Sure. Right down the middle, buries it. Okay, good. All right, now we can move forward. I don't know that I would change my approach of well, it's 4th and inches. Now we're going to kick the field goal just to see what we have. But if it's 50-50, we might have gone for it here. But I want to know what this kid looks like in a game, wearing the uniform. Fans are going crazy. They're throwing snowballs. I don't know if it's going to snow or not, but you're there in Buffalo, wind and everything, all the elements. Let's see what this kid does early in the game so I have more information at hand the rest of the game of what I want to do with this kid. Or it could be the exact opposite and go, if I got 4th and 1, I'm going for it every time.
I would prefer them to go for it because I'd prefer them to go for it either way.
I was going to say with Butker or not, I'd prefer them to go for it on 4th down, but still, yes, go ahead.
The one, and Jack, I'm with you as far as those long field goals, and that makes sense. But I looked it back up. They didn't do that with Matthew Wright. Yeah, Matthew Wright, the 59-yarder.
He had the Chiefs' record until that next week when
when Butker broke it.
That was great.
So, on paper, yeah, I'm with you, but they let Matthew Wright kick a 59-yarder. Now, he had been in the NFL a couple of years prior.
Was that before half, though?
It was before half.
So it was
a certain
winner.
situation, yeah. But just something to keep in the back of your mind is they treated Matthew Wright like a legit, okay, we're going to pretend he's Butker, basically. We don't know the results. He's not going to be Butker, but they treated him like that. So I wonder if they treat Schrader the same way.
It is ironic, coincidental, whatever, annoying that right as we're talking about, well, it looks like the Chiefs are getting healthier. They're getting Pacheco back. They're getting Mininahu back. Juju's going to be out there playing. That's expected to happen this weekend. You'd have Juju and Hopkins and Kelsey and Worthy on the field at the same time. A week away from seeing Pacheco and Kareem Hunt in the backfield together. A Mininahu maybe returning. This team's getting healthier. And then they lose someone who's been a decent, sizable reason why this team has won 3 Super Bowls. I mean, the guy just makes even in that 13-second game. He missed a field goal and an extra point. In that 13-second game, he missed a field goal and an extra point. And then 49 yards with 3 seconds left, season on the line, buries it. Buries it. Like, that's the different mentality and mindset with Butker. He didn't try to overcorrect one way or another, or the previous kicks are in his mind.
Oh, it wasn't Jake Elliott last night.
Exactly. Oh, that was... What did Al Michaels? 7 points left off the board with Jake. Oh, really? You looking at the total there, Al? you got the total in mind there, buddy?
I love those Philly fans. He goes, get ready for the symphony. Or I forget what he said. It was
Symphony
a great
of
word.
Autumn or something like that.
Yeah, I was like, nice. Good job, Al.
Yes, 7 points off the board with that guy. Really? You got the total? You got the over there, Al? In the ball game. 913-912-4810. Let's take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll continue rolling. We'll talk a little bit about this matchup coming up this weekend. K-State dropping the game to LSU. Some of the same things from last year carrying over this year for K-State that clearly they'll have to improve on. Mizzou, I mean, that was unfortunate last night. I took them minus 74.5. And I took the alternate line, and I got aggressive. And I lost the money. So Mizzou winning by a 70-burger last night over Mississippi Valley State. The Delta Devils, right?
Great name, the Delta Devils.
Delta
yeah.
Devils.
Yeah.
Delta Devils, they lost by 39 to Iowa State. And then they took care of the Mississippi Valley School for Women in the second game. That's real, by the way.
They're the Owls, baby.
They're the Owls. Is that what it is, the Owls? The Mississippi University for Women. They knocked off that team by 15 points. Or 17 points. So there you go. Take that. Lost by 70 last night to Mizzou. We'll talk a little bit about that. Coleman Hawkins already stepping up for Wildcat fans. Last night after the game was over in what could have been an altercation. Didn't end up with that because coaches and players got involved. I loved the guy that's riding the bench for LSU at the end of the game or the entire game as he's jogging off with other players that actually played and clapping at Coleman Hawkins. Like, dude, that's the most you've actually done in this game. That's the most you've done tonight is clapping in Coleman Hawkins as you're walking off the court. Nice job, buddy. So we'll talk a little bit about that. Lee Sterling later on this hour. Matt Derrick at 11 o'clock. We will hear from Kendall Gammon at noon. Mick Schaefer. We've got Fast Friday with Andy Reid. Sad fans today.
Ooh.
Broncos edition.
Oh, those fans are going to be sad.
It's the longest sad fans we've had. I couldn't figure out which to hit the cutting board, or the cutting room floor, I should say. I don't know. Maybe they're on the cutting board. I'm not sure. The cutting room floor, I couldn't figure out. Like, there were so many that I'm like, no, I want to keep that one in there. No, typically, I try to keep it around 3 minutes. This one ended up being like 5 minutes and 15 seconds. We'll see. And we'll see who's lighting it up. We got the cuts, all that still to come on this Friday edition. More Zone next. is questionable. Khalil Shakir and Curtis Samuel should be playing with Cook. And Mac Hollins there as well, and Dalton Knox. So they've got some questions around their skill position players. No Kincaid, no Keon Coleman. And even if Amari Cooper plays, I tweeted this out last night. If you did not see this, go to my Twitter account, X, whatever, Blue Sky, and go check it out. I've tweeted out the photo of Amari Cooper was doing his press conference and then showed the reporters what he's been playing with, the cast on his left hand. He's playing with a cast. It doesn't look like your typical huge-ass cast if you break an arm, but it is a cast that goes over his wrist and his thumb, and it stops halfway through his palm. And he said, this is what I'm using. I'm going to have to play with this if I play. And he said it's just been an issue trying to learn to catch with this. So even if Amari Cooper plays, he's playing with a cast on his left hand as a receiver. So you're not getting 100% Amari Cooper. You're getting 0% Dalton Kincaid and Keon Coleman. I mean, good God, this is a charmed season for the Chiefs. I mean, can they get any luckier? I mean, good God. I mean, yes, they have their injuries of their own, but we don't count the injuries for the Chiefs. We only care about the injuries for the other teams. But it's a huge development with Dalton Kincaid going down with the injury last week because it changes things. Yeah. And no Stephon Diggs. And I'm going to guess if Amari Cooper is playing with a cast on his hand and his issue in talking with the media and being honest, which is great, him saying, yeah, it's trying to learn the issue is catching. I'm trying to learn to catch with this. I'm catching balls from Josh Allen. The guy's got a freaking arm, okay? It's not Tua who just lays it in there delicately like Tyreek Hill's co-host said. This guy's got a freaking, laser. So he's getting used to doing that. The Chiefs' defense had typically been against the Bills. You'd have a spy on Josh Allen, and they would shade Stephon Diggs. And they would shut Stephon Diggs down. I mean, it's, Gabe Davis was amazing. You know what Stephon Diggs was in that game? Almost a 0. Stephon Diggs has not been good against the Chiefs. Last year, Stephon Diggs, not good against the Chiefs. Steve Spagnuolo was gone into a game and said, Stephon Diggs is not going to be the one that beats us. Stephon Diggs isn't there. Dalton Kincaid has had opportunities, and Knox and other players have had opportunities because they've shaded to Stephon Diggs. Well, if Amari Cooper plays, maybe you start off doing that and saying we're taking Amari Cooper away and we'll worry about Dalton Knox not being or Dawson Knox not being Dalton Kincaid. But I'm sorry, like Steve Spagnuolo's job got easier with Kincaid and Coleman and maybe Amari Cooper not playing this weekend. Not that it's easy with Josh Allen, but it definitely got easier this weekend.
But this is the receiving core that Mahomes had to deal with last year, basically.
And if it was Noah Gray instead of Travis Kelce out there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that because basically, I know Dawson Knox has been around longer, but Dalton Kincaid's a much more talented tight end.
He's not Kelce, but it's like Dawson Knox is more Noah Gray than he is.
Correct.
Jared Wiley.
Yes.
Correct. So he's still a threat.
So you have Noah Gray out there, and you have Khalil Shakir, which was Mac Hollins, which
Curtis
is
Samuel.
MVS, and that Curtis Samuel is your McCole Hardman.
McCole Hardman. That's right. Yeah. You're absolutely right. It's a great pull. It's like it does a very good when Kelce had to miss a game or two and Noah Gray was in there. Yeah, you have that. It does feel a lot like that. Only going up against a team that is going to focus on stopping the run. If they win this one, it's Josh Allen putting on a cape. If let me just say this. I'll correct that. If the Bills win this one, getting to 28 or 31 points or something, it's Josh Allen putting on a cape against the Chiefs defense.
Absolutely, and also when you factor in Dalton Kincaid and how much the Chiefs have struggled defending tight ends
no
this
doubt.
year,
That's a great point.
That's another huge loss for Buffalo. And then with Amari Cooper, I mean, maybe he doesn't play, maybe he does, but you bring up the point with the cast. I mean, it feels like when Juju was going to play against San Francisco, he's questionable, the hamstring, always good to go. And how many snaps did he really get?
I think it was like 7.
It wasn't a lot. And it wouldn't be a pain tolerance thing, but maybe they get out there and they say, look, it's not going to work here. And making that in-game adjustment will be very difficult for Buffalo. And not to mention, it's a really good Chiefs defense. And I look to Trent McDuffie. Is he going to have not very good games back-to-back weeks? Likely not. So he's going to be shadowing at that point Shakir.
Would you even need to shadow him?
Probably not.
You can play different. It feels like you've got a better chance of maybe playing a little more zone to limit Josh Allen's, or you just play man-to-man and shut people down and have other guys playing zone to just focus on Josh Allen and make sure he doesn't beat you with his legs.
And I think, too, one of my fears for this game was, would Josh Allen just target who the number 2 cornerback is, whether that be Josh Williams or that be Najee Johnson? Now it's a little bit easier for them because they're not having to take on maybe an elite pass catcher, and it makes it more difficult for Josh Allen to just maybe target him, because if there's not a guy open, well, it's just not going to work as easy as it has in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, we'll take a timeout. We'll come back, continue rolling. We'll hear from Todd Lebo and Lee Sterling coming up next. Matt Derrick in the 11 o'clock hour. We'll get more into the matchup with the Chiefs and the Bills. The Bills with an okay defense. Probably not going to have Matt Milano this weekend. The Chiefs getting Juju Smith-Schuster back. Not going to have Harrison Butker. But the Bills will not have Dalton Kincaid and Keon Coleman. And the fact that the Bills traded down and got Keon Coleman and the Chiefs traded up with the Bills, what a great game for Xavier Worthy to have a breakout. Oh, what a great game for Xavier Worthy to have a couple long touchdowns. We'll take a timeout. More Zone next.
Buffalo Bills. Everyone's going to have their eyeballs on that, but we got a lot of stuff to talk about before then with Lee Sterling from Paramount Sports. We've got college football, we've got pro football, we've even got a special pick on a Friday we don't always do, Lee. What have you got for us from Paramount Sports?
All right, so normally if you want to buy one selection on when we do offer it, let's say on a Monday, Thursday, Friday, $50. I'm going to sell it today for $10. I call it my $10 Friday fire pick. $10, that's right. You can get my top play for tonight in college football. Instant download. You're all ready to go. I know if I win for you, you're going to come back and you're going to want to sign up for the month, the season, and join us for everything else. Also, the UFC. So it's a total of 12 fights on the card. Actually, 13 fights on the card. There's a lot of high lines. I'm not going to give you John Jones minus 900, things like that. But I found 3 fights. We've never had so few fights, but 3 dead bang winners. 3 fights, not for the normally $50 we charge for a pay-per-view, $15. So you can get my play tonight in college football, $10, and you can get my top 3 UFC selections for the pay-per-view from Madison Square Garden that starts at 6 o'clock Eastern, $15. Total $25 you're set for some big winning selections.
And it's also November, as always.
Yep.
So we've got all of that stuff going. Let's talk some games here. I was in Columbia last Saturday, Columbia, Missouri, for Missouri and Oklahoma, and watched Oklahoma do what they do. They
One of the
always do.
craziest endings ever, right?
Oh, it's wild. Absolutely wild ending. So now it's the Battle of Columbia's.
Yep.
Columbia, Missouri, and Columbia, South Carolina. This is a really big number for South Carolina, but that's a really good football team with 3 losses.
They are, and they are a totally different team than they were a month ago. I mean, they were a 3-touchdown underdog to Bama. Now they'd probably be 7-8-point underdog. How about this? South Carolina, first time they've been a double-digit home favorite in the SEC, going back 11 years since 2013 versus Vanderbilt. They're big, they're strong, they're fast, but do you want to lay 2 touchdowns against a team that can play? Even if Drew Pine starts a quarterback here, he's a senior, they're going to go run heavy. And if they run the ball 65, 70% of the time or more, it's going to eat up the clock. South Carolina, it's not like they can go down on 1 or 2 plays. I think South Carolina wins 20-14, but I think you hold your nose or hold your breath and take Missouri plus the points.
All right, and we've got a big one here for K-State. They're hanging on the outside of that Big 12 title hunt. They can't afford a loss, okay? Arizona State only has 2 losses as well. I don't think a lot of people know that. Cats are a big favorite at home, though.
Yeah, Arizona State is going to be up against a much better team than Central Florida. Better coach team, quicker, better running quarterback, more speed, better home field advantage. And they could be without their top running back, Cam Scatterbo. What a name. That's the all-name team. Maybe he's the all-name player this year. He plays hard. If he can't go or he's not 100%, they're just not the same on offense here. Sometimes you got to lay it if you want to play at Kansas State at home, 35-14.
Yeah, they got a lot to play for. So does Arizona State. You know, this is one of these new Big 12 games that we're not used to. Another one that we're not maybe used to, but we're going to have to get used to, is this BYU, undefeated BYU. A lot of controversy about their game last week. They almost got beat about a month ago at Oklahoma State, or against Oklahoma State. Kansas looked dead in the water a month ago. They're playing much better now. I think a lot of people are shocked this game is only a 3-point line for BYU, but I think Kansas is definitely in play here. They played great last week against Iowa State.
They did. I mean, 532 total yards. Jaden Daniels, 3 total touchdowns. Devin Neal, 116 rushing yards. 27 or more points, 6 straight games. Still, I don't think the defense is up for it. On the road, playing at BYU at night, playing at altitude. Got a BYU team that escaped in that game 22-21 on a 44-yard field goal with 3 seconds left against their bitter rival. People don't realize how big a rivalry game that is, BYU-Utah. It is huge. And BYU is only 1 for 12 on third down conversions. I think they'll do better. Might be hard fought. I have them winning the game 30-24, but I'd lay the 3 points. I just think that even though they're begging you, I think to take BYU, I still think they're the right side.
Yeah, it's going to be turnover deal too out there. Kansas has done a better job not turning it over. They have a prayer if they don't turn it over. They turn it over, they'll be toast.
How about Iowa State? They didn't. There was 2 plays. They didn't even line up. They didn't have cornerbacks lined up on the receiver. I mean,
embarrassing for them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Bad
Totally.
stuff. Yeah, they cost themselves. Now they've lost 2 in a row.
Yep.
I mean, the Big 12 race is coming down to it. All right, now let's talk a little NFL. It's a big game right here in the AFC North. Baltimore and Pittsburgh. I don't think many people had Pittsburgh sitting where they are right now, but they're still going to be an underdog at home against the Ravens team who's looked pretty good.
The Ravens, they're going to have, I think they're going to end up having the MVP. They're going to have the Offensive Player of the Year in Derrick Henry. Give Pittsburgh credit. I mean, no one saw them only having 2 losses this late in the year. But let's look at who they beat. They still beat a Commanders team, great quarterback, but other than that, Commanders don't have much of anything else. They beat the Giants, Jets, and Raiders. Those 3 teams have a combined record of 7-22. So even though Russell Wilson is a huge upgrade, Lamar Jackson, 24 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. They piled up more than 450 yards on offense in 4 of the last 5 away games this season. And the Ravens are not going to forget losing twice to Pittsburgh last year. Baltimore, 30-20.
Yeah, the Ravens need to hang around. Everyone's kind of chasing the Chiefs for this 1 seed, which leads us to our next game at Buffalo. The Chiefs at Buffalo. Buffalo beats the Chiefs in the regular season. We know that the Chiefs are getting points, again, on the road. Patrick Mahomes is really good at it as an underdog. If the Chiefs win this game, the race for the 1 seed is basically over, and we're not even near Thanksgiving yet.
Crazy. and also so many close games. I don't think anyone could have predicted this to start the year. And people are thinking, oh, the Bills, they got revenge. This line started as Kansas City's a 1-point favorite. Now Buffalo's a 2.5-point favorite. I mean, do you really think that Buffalo is better or close to Kansas City? I don't think so. They could be down Amari Cooper, Keon Coleman, and Dalton Kincaid, 3 of their top 4 receiving targets. Patrick Mahomes, 14-3-1 against the spread as an underdog, winning the last 7 times outright in that role. I just don't think Buffalo's defense is any good. If you watch the Miami game, Miami just ran right through them. They just, had a key fumble in the game, or else they win it. Last week, Denver, up and down the field, controlled the game, just couldn't make the field goal. I just think that Buffalo, I think Kansas City will rebound. I just don't think, I think Buffalo has too many weaknesses here. One player can't mask so many weaknesses, and Kansas City has the better defense, maybe the best defense in the NFL. Chiefs, outright, straight up, 24-21.
And if it comes down to it, they'll just block a field goal to win the game, too. It's wild.
Yeah.
I mean, the Chiefs are a team of destiny right now. There's a long way to go, but people around here start to think about being undefeated. I don't know.
Right.
It's going to be wild.
Got to lose a game, being a Dolphins fan.
I know.
Lose a game somewhere.
I know. Hey, the champagne was out ready to go on Sunday, and then they had to put the corks back on that one. Hey, you always have a free play for us, too, and you got great specials going on right now.
Yeah, Colorado and Utah. How about this game? Colorado on their way, if they continue, to be playing the Big 12 championship game. No one saw that. So I think they were – what's crazy is Colorado and BYU, if it ended right now, they'd be in the championship game. I'm looking at some of the annuals right now on my desk that they sell. Almost everyone had them 13th and 14th in the conference. That just shows you how off they were. So – you want to get Colorado, Utah. Colorado's a 10-point favorite. Do they cover? Or can Utah keep it close or win it outright? Just be one of the first 5 callers. Call 800-400-9741. Give you that game for free. Colorado and Utah, 800-400-9741. And like I said, $10. You want to get the selection tonight. College football, $10. The $10 Friday Fire Pick, normally $50. You can get it right now. ParamountSports.com.
Sounds great, Lee. We will talk to you on Sunday on Chiefs Tailgate. Have a great weekend. Get that Friday Fire Pick in for Paramount Sports. The Zone rolls on next.
and it is still at 2. That's what it was this morning. It is still at 2. The reason I'm looking at the latest line is because it is official now that Dalton Kincaid is out this weekend. Keon Coleman out, Dalton Kincaid out. Amari Cooper is questionable to play. The line has not moved. Cynthia Freeland on Wednesday with us had the Bills winning, but said if Kincaid and Cooper does not play, that would change the score. So she said Buffalo, but without Cooper and Kincaid, the score would change and the Chiefs would win. That's what her algorithm that she put together.
And I trust her, so once you said that, I immediately went to ESPN and bet and
so
put
did I.
money on
So did I.
the Chiefs.
Yeah, I got him at plus 105. I wish he was a little bit higher, but I wish it was a little bit taller. Wish it was a baller. Wish I had a girl look good. I would call her. Matt Derrick, Chiefs Digest 41.
What about a
is the
rabbit
mic.
hat?
And a bat. What
And
about
a
a
6'4" Impala?
Yeah. Matt Derrick is who we get, though. For the hour, Chiefs Digest 41 is the Mike podcast. Matt, what's up, brother? How are you?
I was great until I have no idea what was happening.
A little
for the last
skilo.
15
You
seconds.
know,
Little
skilo?
skilo. Wish I was a little bit taller. Wish I
Yeah,
was a
that
baller.
was-
Yeah.
It's out of my.
I was in one of the most random things ever. We were in Vegas at the Mirage, and it was there for Soren's Fantasy Football League that he has in Vegas every year. When I was in it before I got engaged and married and couldn't do fun things anymore. I'm joking. It was my personal choice.
I think your wife. I've met your wife. I think she would actually say, "Jason, can you please go?"
100%. Yeah, we were just saving up for a down payment on a house. I don't
Yeah.
think a trip to Vegas for a weekend.
You could have won money for a down payment. You could have won a house.
Yeah, I don't gamble, so that would have been hard for me to win anything. So we were there, and it was like, the nightclub that's in the Mirage, and we're just hanging out there and, doing married 30, 40-year-old men things of just talking about sports at the bar. And all of a sudden, on the dance floor, the DJ recognizes somebody, gives them a mic. It's Skilo, and he performs I Wish I Was a Little Bit Taller randomly, impromptu there. While we were like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
This is ridiculous. This is like one of the most random things ever.
Oh yeah.
Have I had a stroke? I have no idea what you're talking about.
It's Skilo is he's an
How would
artist.
How would anyone have recognized Skilo? By the way, that's also made
Well,
the
you
most
got a
impressive
DJ that's
part.
probably been around.
He had one song in 1995.
Smaller
if you want to
individual.
talk Biz Markie, I'm all over that.
Yes,
but-
well,
Yeah,
you
but
know
Biz
what?
Markie is very identifiable.
Right.
Yeah, I
well,
don't know what
Skilo
you
was
two were talking
identifiable
about here.
in that being he wanted to be a little bit taller.
He
'cause
is
was pretty
5'8".
short.
He
Yeah.
is 5'8".
He's
Yeah.
a smaller individual. Matt Derrick is our guest. All right, let's get into the Chiefs here. What a kick to the butt that it was with Harrison Butker going down. He is now out 3 to 4 weeks. And as I tweeted out a little bit ago, Matt, the Chiefs' luck just continues. Now they don't have to play with Harrison Butker. I mean, they've had the fortune of not having to play with a wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2, running back 1, cornerback 2, starting defensive end, and now the best kicker in the league.
Kicker one down.
It is a charmed season for this team so far. I mean, we don't care about injury luck. It's all a matter of a random call here or there in a game, not an impact that a Marquise Hollywood Brown or a Rashee Rice or an Isaiah Pacheco or Jalen Watson or Charles Omenihu would make. Now, it's a random call in the second quarter, but they have been able to. Let's talk about it from a serious standpoint. To this point, they're 9-0. They have been able to overcome these things. What's your concern level of this being, tipping the scale the other way to where eventually you get to a point to where you go up against a good team that is incredibly motivated, that has good players and well-coached and a superstar quarterback, and sometimes it's just a little bit too much to overcome.
I mean, yeah. I mean, it's felt like that the Chiefs might have been there a couple of times this year that they've been in that spot, and this is the toughest one of them all. I mean, after this, hey, the Chiefs, Pittsburgh. Is the scariest game on the schedule the rest of the way for me. I'm not honestly that scared of Houston, mostly just because of the way that the schedule breaks out.
And their offensive line is a disaster.
And they've got some injuries and they got some problems, and we'll see just how healthy they are and what their deal is.
Even
by
with
the
health,
time
that
you
offensive
get
line's a
there.
disaster.
Yeah,
But you're right, that's a long way away. Who knows what that'll be like.
who
but
knows?
still.
But I still think the Chiefs are the better team in the
Yeah.
situation at home, Saturday, all those things. Pittsburgh, everything's against the Chiefs. I mean, that'll be a tougher one, but I mean, this is it. I mean, this is huge. And like you were talking about in the last hour, if the Chiefs win this one, I mean, number 1 seed race is pretty much over.
It is.
I mean, I just don't see this team, if they win this game, and honestly, I mean, even if they lose this game, 15-2 is a perfectly reasonable record for this team. And I mean, I don't think Buffalo's going to go winless, or excuse me, undefeated the rest of the way out. So this is huge for a lot of reasons. If the Chiefs win this one, nobody's catching them. I mean, Pittsburgh's the only one that could, and I don't think they're going to catch them either.
Yeah. Cynthia Freeland said the same thing. She said Buffalo wins, but the Chiefs are still going to get the 1 seed. That was her prediction. Again, with Kincaid and Cooper playing, she said, but it changes the score by like a half a point here or there. And with, her algorithm, whatever model that she uses, that's a pretty big swing. And I was like, well, is it – because she said it's preferable. She said, I would prefer the Chiefs to lose so they don't have to worry about going undefeated the rest of the way. Don't worry about that. You plan for the postseason. You can rest guys and not think about, well, we got to play them to go undefeated. I said, well, would it be ideal for them to lose this game because it's the Bills and 1 seed? She's like, I'm not worried about the 1 seed. Chiefs are getting the 1 seed. Bills' schedule the rest of the way is difficult. The Chiefs have one of the top 10 easiest schedules the rest of the way after Buffalo. She's like, the Chiefs can lose this game. They're still going to get the 1 seed probably by 2 games. So that was encouraging to hear somebody outside say that. But to your point, like if they win this one, it's over. If they lose, it's going to be a little more nip-tuck. There's going to be more scoreboard watching.
There will be. I mean, it will be a little bit more nip-tuck, but I agree with Cynthia. I mean, I still think, obviously, I mean, the Chiefs will still be in the position to be the favorite the rest of the way for the 1 seed, so I don't think that's a huge problem. But, you get to the part of what you're talking about. It's like, is this too much for the Chiefs? Is just the one that, hey, they're going to lose? I mean, and I don't want to sound like I'm a truther or anything like this. I'm a conspiracy theorist, but
why are you wearing that hat though? You do have a tinfoil hat on.
I do have a tinfoil hat on. That's true. But Andy Reid, he's advanced to the point where I don't know if Sean McDermott has, which is Andy Reid learned a long time ago. I'm not sure exactly when. I think it was at least 2015, maybe earlier than that. But Andy Reid learned a long time ago it's more important to win the war, not the battle. And the Bills and Sean McDermott are still focused on the battle. They're still focused, and until they get over the point where they care about the regular season game less than they care about the playoffs, they're always going to be the favorite in the regular season, and they're never going to win the playoff game because, I mean, it's not that Andy Reid doesn't care about this game. He just cares more about the next one. And he's not going to give away anything that he thinks is going to hurt him if he has to see this team down the road again.
This was going to be part of the second segment, but I'm going to switch some things around because I want to play off that and just get into this conversation now. That's right. Yes. We're going to do a little jazz here. So my topic in the second segment was going to be the game plan versus Buffalo. And you went here with the war versus the battle. Is this more likely? Because I totally agree with what you're saying. Like Andy Reid will say, we're going to see this team again. I'm not throwing A, B, and C out there so they can check that out. I'm going to put that in the playoffs. But if Andy Reid views this game and says, this game is different because it essentially gives us the 1 seed, and I don't mind putting A, B, and C out there against Buffalo because that gives us a better chance of winning this game, and now we've got the 1 seed locked up, and if we see Buffalo again, it's going to be at Arrowhead. So the game plan, is this maybe in a specific and particular circumstance that Andy Reid would be more willing to unload the clip for a, lack of a better, term against the Buffalo Bills and not hold something back for January and late January?
I mean, I'm going to take Andy Reid a little bit at his word here. That I think if you were to ask him this exact question, he's been probably asked variations of this over the years. I think he would say, no, I mean, we're going to do what we do to win every game. We care about winning every game. But at the same time, like I said, I mean, I do believe that they will hold things back, especially if there's something that they think will work. Andy Reid knows how difficult it is to beat a team twice in a season. So if he has to play a team twice, once in the regular season, once in the playoffs, I mean, once again, he cares more about one than the other, and not every team does that. I mean, some teams care about them both equally, and they shouldn't do that. I think the only reason that he would empty the clip, like you said, would be if this would be an opportunity to ensure that they wouldn't have to meet Buffalo.
That's a good point.
And that's not the case in this.
Yeah,
I mean, if Buffalo was the 7th seed right now, and this was just a chance to
and this was like week 15,
give him the death blow.
Yeah, you're right. Like the Bengals last year,
right?
Was like, all right, and even without Joe Burrow, like it was like, they're sort of teetering there, and you can knock them out. That's a good point. Probably week 15 if they're the 7th seed.
That I think would be a different scenario.
That's a good point. Yeah, not just that you can get the 1 seed, but you won't see them again. So let's put everything out there and go and win this game regardless of battle versus the war. Because I do think, you're correct, and we've seen that with Andy Reid, that he does take a macro approach. There's the micro aspect of every single game that you have to, but also the macro of this team is trying to win a Super Bowl, not win the Super Bowl in Week 11. And there's so many teams in the NFL that win and approach their Super Bowl that week they're playing the Chiefs. We have to win. We have to test ourselves. And then the next time you face that team, the Chiefs, they've made their adjustments and stuff that they may have held back, and they're ready for whatever you already threw out on the table because it helped you win that particular game. They have that advantage. It's built-in advantage because of their success, but you can only take advantage of that if you approach it that way and have some things left next time you see them.
And this is me putting my psychology 101 hat here and everything. So.
You've brought a lot of hats.
I mean, I've brought a lot of hats.
You
I've
honestly
taken out the
are like
tinfoil hat,
almost like a clown.
Yeah.
You just keep bringing things.
And I'm not going to brag, but it was a psychology 101 honors class.
Oh wow,
That's much.
So yeah,
more
I mean, I'm not just exactly. I did get an A. I mean, I may have looked on.
I noticed you stitch an A on that hat you're wearing,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
it made sense.
So I'm bragging a little bit about myself here and everything, and so I'm only saying Andy Reid would probably admit this only if you put him on the couch, and really got into some deep therapy sessions and everything, but I think he would say that you do coach games differently, and you coach teams differently and situations differently. I mean, like, let's go back to last year. I mean, I think Andy Reid in his heart of hearts, whether it was consciously or subconsciously, I think obviously he knows how to coach football. He knew his team was not in the right mind space at the end of the last season. I mean, he knew something was not right, and he knew that they weren't firing on all cylinders. So what do? Do you go in and just read them the riot act and try and push their buttons that way, or do you let what happened on Christmas Day happen?
You throw the game against the Raiders.
I did not say that.
Oh, sorry.
I did not say that. But I'm saying, hey, do you let your team figure it out on their own sometimes? And, hey, what happened against the Raiders? What happens when sometimes you let your team figure things out on their own?
It's like a kid with a hot stove. You're like, you know what? You keep telling them, don't touch it, don't touch it. Yeah. Eventually, they got to learn themselves. They touch the hot stove.
Interesting. Sterling will allow his kid to touch the hot stove. That's interesting.
They ain't going to touch it a second time.
It's true.
And I know Andy Reid will say this, is that, you win things, you learn things in wins and losses. Mm-hmm. And so, and I think what he will believe about this team is that this team doesn't need a loss to learn anything. The only thing I think that this team needs a loss to, help them is, I think that the pressure of going undefeated is a real thing. And I get, some people say it doesn't matter, loss does, hey, this team can handle it. They've handled everything else. I think that's different.
Do you think that's kicked in yet, though? I mean, they're not. No, there's still 8 games. Okay,
I don't think it has. I think this is the game it would kick in if they win.
I think Sunday's game wasn't. And I'm not saying you're saying this.
Yes.
If this was a thought process, like, okay, it's building with the undefeated, I think Sunday's game's sort of stress, pressure, whatever that might be, is one, the matchup with Vance Joseph. And I think the Chiefs, even though that was only their 4th game since the bye week, I think there's an element of them sort of, playing so many close games and having to make plays late in the 4th quarter. That starts to build, and you start to get mentally drained. And I think the team was probably physically drained in playing an overtime game on Monday and then getting ready for a really physical game against the Broncos.
Yeah.
And credit the Broncos for doing that. I'm not a huge believer in that, well, if you have 1 day extra, 1 day less, it means you're going to win or lose the game. But I think it makes an impact. And in the NFL, like, inches and incremental impacts can make a huge difference. And I think the Chiefs were a banged-up team and probably tired. And, I think it was Steven and you on Sunday that said, like, by the time you guys got in there, so many people were gone.
Oh, yeah.
They had jetted. And
a lot of play. Yeah, Matt, you were there, too. Yeah.
Well, and Steven, I'll get your thoughts on this. I'm just going to rehash what Steven said and paraphrase. And his point was a little bit like, the team looked exhausted. And 1, let's get out of here and go get some rest. And 2, how many times do they leave the stadium when it's light outside? and you got the rest of your afternoon to go and do stuff. I'm going to get the hell out of here.
Go bowling or something.
And go enjoy my afternoon with family, friends, or whatever, instead of I got to go home and go to bed. But I do think there's an accumulation of the close wins, the emotionally draining. You got to get back up the next day and get ready for the next team, and emotionally draining and all of that. And there was that physical element of that Bucs game, and then a very physical game against the Broncos.
Andy Reid knew that his team was exhausted and banged up, and he explained on Monday. I mean, a big part of it is even that one day of rest. Because having to play on a short week after playing the Monday night game, I mean, the Chiefs did not have a padded practice during the week. They did nothing but 10-10-10s all week long, even on Thursday.
And that's the coach telling you what he thinks of his team at that point.
That is exactly the coach telling you about what he thinks of his team as far as just their physical draining level. And there was no doubt. I mean, after that Tampa Bay game, guys were exhausted. I think a little bit of Sunday might have also been, the Chiefs PR didn't let us into the locker room a little late. But,
yeah, there was a little bit of that, too. We were waiting a little bit.
We waited a little bit.
Maybe it's a combination. Maybe it was like 60-40, 80-20 something.
They saw me there as Lebo, and they go, no, he can't go in. He's not Lebo.
Who's this guy in the stupid suit?
But those guys, no, I mean that team was exhausted. I mean those were two back-to-back draining games. I think the Buccaneers was more draining than the Broncos was, but it's still two back-to-back games. And you're right. I mean you don't get very many this team doesn't get very many opportunities to get out early and
leave a home game at 3:30.
Exactly. Go out and enjoy yourself a little bit.
Have some dinner,
it's only noon home game you're going to have, so
on a Sunday,
take advantage of it.
Texans are noon, right, on a Saturday?
Yes, technically, yes.
Yeah, so they've got a, but the only Sunday noon game they have at home.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about Harrison Butker and the impact. He's going to be out 3 to 4 weeks. He's having his knee scoped. I meant to, in the previous break, look up who the doctor was that has a Twitter account. I said earlier, there was a Twitter.
Is it Morse?
There was a Twitter doctor. Well, there's like 5 or 6 of them now that all of present their opinion on Twitter. It's now become sort of this niche way of.
Was it this guy, Jesse Morse? That's a guy I see all the time.
Might have been, yeah.
Might have been.
He gets retweeted a lot, yeah. But they said something about noticing that Harrison Butker this year was when he was following through was falling down to his left knee a lot more than he had in the past. He does it from time to time. You see him swing through, and then he'll sort of just go down on that left knee a little bit. And he said, noticing it a lot more. And that was after yesterday's news came out. So I think he's just connecting the dots that, hey, maybe this is going on. It was wearing down. You're putting that extra stress on that. And also, maybe it's coincidental or not, but his last kick was the one that he shanked, the kickoff. That Dave Tobe said, no, we're supposed to kick it to the end zone. And that thing, he slips and shanks it, and that thing falls at the 25-yard line and rolls out of bounds. That was a bad kick. And that might have been the one that was like, all right, that was painful. Okay, yeah, I gotta figure this out, Dave. So what's the impact now? The specific game versus the next 4 weeks for this Chiefs team not having who I think is the best kicker in the NFL. And I would take him over any other kicker in the NFL. You gave me my choice right now. All 30 teams' kickers are available. Give me number 7.
I would be the same way in 99% of circumstances. I mean, I might still take Justin Tucker on an extra point, but that's okay.
I don't know. He's missing extra points. I ain't taking Akers or whoever on extra points.
Would Tucker come back because now Kelsey was the guy that got in his dome and ruined him?
That's a good point.
Would that be like a situation where he
gets
his powers back or
Kelsey
something?
Ruined him, but I completely agree about Butker. I mean, but here's the thing. I mean, the biggest thing I think that the Chiefs will miss. I mean, there's a couple of areas, but obviously what Butker is from long distance. You got a lot of faith and a lot of trust there. So anybody that comes in, they're going to have a shorter leash. Mm-hmm. You're comfortable with Butker. I mean, in the right circumstances, they're comfortable with Butker from 65.
Yeah, I was going to say you're not.
They would let Butker try from 73 in the right circumstances.
Yeah, so. Before half, you're probably not going, hey, get to the 45 and let Butker go take a chance.
Yeah,
with Spencer Schrader out there.
If there's 1 second left on the clock, before half in the game, they would. Butker's up. Hey, his leash is up to 73. Like I said, might even be 75 if the wind's behind him.
It's funny.
And I'm serious about that. I'm not even joking. I mean, that's their faith in him. And so that's that length and just confidence in clutch situations will be the only thing. But here's the thing: name the last kicker that Dave Tobe said go out and get this guy that he was wrong about. I mean,
Because he wanted Harrison Butker.
He wanted Harrison Butker. I mean, Matt Wright has been
Matt
a good
Wright came in
kicker,
and
and
did.
Matt Wright came in and set a franchise record that lasted all of about
Amendola
6
wasn't.
days.
I would say
Amendola killed him.
Amendola. Yeah, Amendola.
against the or Amendola. I don't know whatever it was against the Colts.
Yeah, but the same guy I'm thinking. Yeah,
He missed
not
that,
Danny Amendola, but it's.
I don't even think he was wrong about Amendola.
yeah.
I mean, Amendola's been an NFL kicker.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
he's been an emergency guy for a long, long time.
And they also would have won the game if Chris Jones didn't say a naughty word, or wasn't a big meanie to Matt Ryan against the Colts. But still, that missed,
Matt Amendola.
Yeah, that missed 30-yard field goal didn't help. But go ahead.
But I mean, it's even been with punters. I mean, who are the 3 best punters in the league right now?
Fox. And
I'll take you back. I'll go 4. Who are the best 4 punters in the league right now?
Ryan Stonehouse.
Fox. Who's the kid that they had in
Ryan
this year?
Ryan
Reckow from
Has been
from
just
BYU,
wrecking
right?
things. Yep.
And then
And Tommy Townsend would be up there to me.
and
He's
then,
been
the
bad
Chiefs
this year
kicker.
though, but
He's had his moment, Matt Ariza. I mean, those are
Ariza.
4 of the best punters in the league, and
Yeah.
and those are the last 4 guys that Dave Tobes said, yeah, this guy can kick in the league.
Yeah.
I mean, he knows his stuff, and so yeah, I mean, Schrader, I think they're going to have absolutely no problem with him. 45 and 50 and in. I'm sure they're going to be completely comfortable. It's just going to be, like I said, distance and clutch situations will be the only thing you're going to hold your breath on.
He was 4 of 7 at Notre Dame last year of 50-plus. He hit a 50-yarder, a 53-yarder, and 2 different 54-yarders. The 3 that he missed was from 50, 56, and 59 were the 3 that...
College kickers.
Yeah, and you know what? College kickers, he was 43 of 63 in his career, and Harrison Butker, I think, was 43 of 60 in his career at Georgia Tech. Now, Butker was much better his last year at Georgia Tech. He only missed 1 or 2 kicks the entire year, where Schrader went 15 of 22.
Harrison Butker only kicked 17 field goals in his
Right,
college career.
Yeah, I know. But Schrader went
attempts.
Schrader went 15 of 22 on the season, but should point out the first 5 weeks of the season with Notre Dame, he was 2 of 6. He started off slow, and then he turned it on. Then he missed 1 or 2 kicks the last 8 weeks of the season for Notre Dame. So he was much better there, and he's 3 for 3 in his NFL career from field goals, or 4 for 4. 1 with the Colts, and then 3 with the Jets. Hasn't missed an extra point yet, and they showed him. There's video of him warming up and kicking a 56-yarder that crossed the top of the goalposts. In pregame, which is pretty much every kicker in the NFL now. If you can't do that, you can't kick in the NFL.
They don't look like Butker when they go in, though. There is a little bit of just different feel, different look. Even the ones he made with the Jets, there was one that looked a little more. Okay, did that go in or not?
It ain't Butker. But he's got a strong leg, and it's not gonna. I'm certainly not gonna be completely calm, cool, collected as he's lining up for a kick.
But Matt, how does this change the Chiefs' game plan?
Yeah,
like on 4th and 1, 4th and 2. Let's say even it's 4th and 4. You're on their, let's say, 33-yard line. So it'd be about a 50-ish yarder, but it's 4th and 4. What do you think the Chiefs do in this situation without Butker?
It's a good question.
Is it first quarter, second quarter? Is it fourth quarter? Is it third quarter? What's the score, time, situation? First quarter, he's going to kick it, I would think, right?
I mean, it depends. Depends on. I mean, I think it depends on the
It's
situation.
4th and 4. Is 4th and 4 making it
the-
too much? What if he said 4th and 3?
Yeah.
And Andy Reid's such a momentum guy. I mean,
Yeah,
it could
is.
absolutely change based on what's preceded up to that and everything. So, I mean, but I think you're right. I mean, I think it would alter their thinking a little bit in those situations. I mean, if you've got that and you're facing, for him, I mean, that would be like a 51.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I could see that early the Chiefs might go ahead and kick it. I think they'd be comfortable at that range. 37 might be a better yard line. That might be, hey, do you go for it at 4th and 4 from the 37? They're probably cheap to me. I think the Chiefs would be probably more likely in a situation like this than they would normally because, hey, 55 Butker,
Yeah.
they got plenty of confidence. They think he's going to hit that.
Yeah, and if
New guy, not sure.
If you miss it, they got the ball at the 45. If you punt it and Ariza kicks it a little too far, they've got the ball at the 20, and you've gained 17 yards. My question would be, and I could see either way for Andy Reid, early in the game, let's say opening drive for the Chiefs, all right? 0-0, down 3-0, down 7-0, or their first drive, whatever. It's 4th and 1 at the 20-yard line for the Bills. I want Andy Reid to go for that every single time. But is there a chance that Andy Reid says, if we had Butker, we actually would go for it? But without Butker, I kind of want to see what I have in Spencer Schrader today in Buffalo with the elements in a game. And 4th and 1, let's let him kick it. And if he makes it, I have a better idea of the rest of the game. If it's iffy and it's like sneaks in the uprights, or he miskicks it or misses it, well, now I've got even more data the rest of the way that I can make some decisions. 4th and 1, 20-yard line opening drive. Andy Reid go for it, or say, I'm going to see what I have in this new kicker? Because I could see either one from Andy Reid. I could see it where Andy Reid goes, no, Butker, I'm being more aggressive.
I mean, I could see it going either way. And I will say this, and it'll be a little bit of an amendment from my previous answer, but I mean, I think in a game like this, particularly and this might be more so in this game, but would be true in every game, but I think a lot in this one is that he's not going to want to give away momentum early. So, could he maybe decide in this, and maybe this would be true even with Butker were here, but if they had the 4th and 4 from like the 37, like I was proposing, I could see them punting it because maybe they don't want to give it to Bills the ball to 45 and give them a short field, and then all of a sudden it's a 10-point swing. I mean, it gives up the 3 that you didn't get, and then maybe the Bills take the short field and go down and get 7. I mean, I can see Andy, because he is such a believer in momentum, that maybe he would not want to give them that opportunity to gain an edge early. So maybe he would try to change, maybe say even if it's 25 yards is 25 yards. So maybe he would play it conservative early on.
We'll see what happens with that. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll talk about this matchup with the Bills and the Chiefs at left tackle. What do they do this weekend? We heard Trey Smith talk about Kingsley. We heard Matt Nagy talk about Kingsley. We saw what the Denver Broncos did to Kingsley over the weekend. Gregory Rousseau has been one of the best defensive ends in football. He is like 5th or 6th in quarterback hits when you combine the hits and the sacks. He's ahead of like Nick Bosa and some of those players this year. So Rousseau has been good. So it's not like, hey, you're not going to against Benito. No, Rousseau has taken a huge step forward for the Bills. So we'll talk about that on the other side as well. Get Matt Derrick's prediction. More Zone rolling along next.
even their best power ballad.
No.
It isn't, but
Yeah, but it's just to annoy Sterling.
yes.
Yes.
Boy,
See, and it's
yeah,
skipping.
You know
there you
what?
go.
Yeah,
You know?
See?
that's what I get actually.
You just
deserve that.
Just let me whistle the whole thing. Matt
Ain't
Derrick.
it fun? No. No, it's not fun. Great cover.
Matt Derrick, Chiefs Digest 41 is the Mike podcast. All right, Matt, left tackle situation for this Chiefs team. Wanya goes down. Kingsley comes in. We heard Andy Reid on Wednesday, which raised my concern level when Andy Reid talked about Wanya Morris and saying that he's got the bone bruise. He tweaked it. He left the game. He got it worked on. It got better. He came back in the game. It's just something that, is going to happen. And that concerns me even more rather than this was a one-game thing and then he came back in the game and it's all good. If this is something that might be recurring, then it puts even more of a sense of urgency as to what you do at left tackle if Wanya Morris goes down. How do you assess the Chiefs' left tackle situation right now? If healthy, are they fine with Wanya Morris? Do they still need to upgrade that spot or find somebody somewhere? And if health is an issue in a particular game, what's the answer?
Yeah, it does raise alarm bells because, this injury goes back to training camp. That's when he bruised it originally. And he's now had a couple of times that he's tweaked it and had to come out. This one was a little bit more extended. He did go back in on special teams earlier than he did go on offense. So, there was a little bit of encouragement there. And the Chiefs are not ignorant of the situation. They've noticed. They know what's going on. I think it'll be, to me, the first thing that we're going to get, I think, as far as judging where they're at is, what do they do is their swing tackle this weekend? Is it still going to be Wanya? Because if Wanya is active on Sunday, then, you're saying that's your next best option. If anything happens, or excuse me, if Kingsley.
There we go. I was going to say,
Sorry.
Wanya's moving to swing? But yes.
If Kingsley is your swing tackle, if he's your, why are you guys looking at me like I'm insane? Well, it's because I said the wrong name.
Is Niang the name to kind of watch out for then? Like, is Lucas Niang, if he gets called up in Ethan Driscoll's, well, I guess no, they can't, well. Then you put one of those guys at risk. Then I guess
you could elevate Niang on Saturday. So there's even one clue. If that's an early clue. If Lucas Niang gets elevated from the practice squad on Saturday, I'm pretty sure Kingsley is inactive.
Yeah,
and Ethan Driscoll too. I guess would be the dark horse there. Because he's actually on the 53. So that would be waiting until Sunday to see what happens. If Kingsley's active, then they're saying that they're still comfortable that if anything happens, that Kingsley can play. The question that, last week was no, but the question this week is going to be, hey, if Wanya does tweak that, do you revisit the subject of Joe Tooney or Jawan Taylor playing at left tackle? And Jawan's probably the one that doesn't get talked about enough. Everybody talks about Joe Tooney kicking out the left tackle. I think Jawan is probably just as likely of an option of moving him to left tackle to protect Mahomes' backside, and then you bring in whomever it is.
I guess
maybe that's where you go with Driscoll or you go with Niang at the right tackle spot.
Okay. That was my question because I think there's an obvious left guard of Caliendo. I don't know if there's an obvious right tackle that without having to call up Lucas Niang.
Yeah. Obviously, Tooney can do it. He's done it before and everything. I think the only concern the Chiefs would really have is that, coming back from the pec injury and everything, the reason why Joe Tooney's not a left tackle was because of the alligator arms, so short arms. So do you want to get him in a position where he's going to be even more having to kind of reach out and, with that, do you really – I'm not saying his pec isn't 100%. Clearly it is. He's come back from the surgery. But do you want him to put himself in that situation? So I don't know. And the Chiefs, obviously, they hate to disrupt two positions with one injury and one substitution. So they're always going to be against moving a starter from one position to another. They're always going to favor bringing somebody else in. So I don't know. If Wanya does go down this week and you have to go to somebody else, are you comfortable with Kingsley? You look at everything that they've said this week, whether it's just that, hey, blaming themselves for not giving him enough first-team reps so that he's getting to apply what he's learning on film and everything. But, we all know it. And they know it too. He was absolutely overwhelmed. He was swimming. The speed was too much for him. And, I mean, that's not going to change in 1 week.
Yeah. Matt Nagy even saying that, he was talking about Kingsley and some excuses baked in, but then got to the main part of his answer. And when he said, he's young and experienced, super talented, you got to have a little bit of patience level. And then he ended it with, but you've got to get the job done. That was the most important part of all of that. And he's saying, yeah, look, Kingsley, here are the issues. He's young and experienced. He's really talented. We got to have some patience. But we're playing to win a football game. And if you're out there, you got to do your job. You have to get the job done. No excuses. I don't care that you're 21 years old. I don't care that, you don't have confidence. Figure it out. You got number 15 that you're blocking for back there. So figure it out. Do your job. I do wonder if, to get through this game, if that were to happen, if it makes sense to kick out Joe Thuney, put in Caliendo at left guard, because you would be getting better at left tackle over Kingsley. You would be getting worse at left guard, but you'd be getting better at left tackle over Kingsley. But like you said, you would be disrupting two positions because Thuney would be moving, Caliendo would be coming in. But I'd be more comfortable protecting Caliendo between Thuney and an all-pro center rather than that guy on the left side is out on an island. And even when they tried to give him help, it seemed to not, work all that much. So it's did you think they would bring somebody in this week? Reach out, bring somebody in, talk, discuss, work them out?
I don't think that they're quite there because, honestly, I think there's only two people out there they would really consider. I think it's Donovan Smith and it's David Bakhtiari.
Yeah.
They both have the same problems. They're older players with a little bit of an injury history. Talking to Brett Veach earlier this week, we had a chance to talk to him for a little bit, and he talked about the fact that, Donovan Smith is probably a consideration, but, the stinger problems that he had last year and everything, it's probably a case of if you wanted to go that route, would have to go into it knowing, and that was the approach this season, is just that Donovan at this point in his career is probably not a 20-game guy. So if you're going to, consider bringing in Donovan Smith to shore up your line or help you out, probably later in the season. So are you getting to that point? Maybe, but I think the Chiefs are probably at this point right now where they really want to see how maybe Wanye looks in the next couple of weeks, how he holds up injury-wise, how he kind of responds. If they feel like on December 1st or, maybe just circle the Raiders game. That'll be 2 games. If after that 3 games, I guess, technically, but I think that would be the good, kind of line of demarcation. If after that you're comfortable with Wanye being your playoff left tackle, you stand pat. But if you think you need some depth, that's where I think I would look and see if Donovan Smith wants to come in.
Well, that's where I'm at is I think Wanye is fine. I don't think you bring in a guy to be a starter, but the question then becomes, does Donovan Smith or David Bakhtiari, do they take the backup left tackle role? Again, there's a lot of questions with Wanye Morris and the bone bruise. Sounds like it's going to be something he probably deals with the rest of the season because you're not staying off it. So it's going to keep getting re-aggravated. But do those guys, in your mind, are they even entertaining one of those things, or do you almost have to bring him in and say, okay, you're now the starter?
That's a good question. Because that's why, and I was asked, earlier this week, hey, Donovan Smith is at home on the couch. Why would he turn down a minimum salary contract? Well, because, he's got a Super Bowl ring. He's got money. He doesn't have to do anything he doesn't want to. So I don't even know if either one of those guys would want minimum salary. And that's not a huge issue. I think Donovan played for, was it $3 million and plus incentives last year? It's not a bunch, but at the same time, does this guy want to come in and play for a prorated version of the vet minimum that might pay him, $200,000 for, 2 months' work? Maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. Maybe he'd say, no, I'll come in for a prorated version of $3 million. That affects the cap a little bit, but it's not just a give. And maybe he's going to say, okay, if you put me on the practice squad, for a couple of weeks to check me out, sure, but then you're going to pay me more because I'm not going to make $240,000 in the practice squad. I'm Donovan Smith. I got a Super Bowl ring, man. I don't know what these guys think, but they don't all think the same way.
Yeah, I would be surprising if you're sitting at home and you want a job or you want to play, and they say, hey, we're going to bring you in to be the backup. And you could advance to be the starter if we feel comfortable about that and go, nah, I'm good. I would like the job, but I want a starting job.
He's got a couple of rings. I mean,
Right.
he can be picky.
But nobody's reaching out right now. Like, I mean, he can be picky, but like, where's he going to end up?
People are reaching out.
Yeah.
He's just picky. I don't know.
The vet minimum for Donovan Smith or David Bakhtiari, based on because it's all based on
Yeah,
how many years you've played.
right.
So 7+ years in the NFL, both have played 7+ years, is just over 1.2 million. So you'd have to prorate the 1.2 million. That's the vet minimum.
So 6 games would be a little bit less than 400,000.
Yeah, 400,000 or so. You know, to
Which
come
is
in
hilarious to even think about. Any one of us in a heartbeat are saying
Yeah.
you could make that much money, but when guys like David Bakhtiari signed a $100 million contract, to those guys are sitting there going,
But it wouldn't be about the money. I don't think there's any money that
worth
they
it?
could pay him that would make that huge of a difference of where they go. If they come back, it's about one playing the game still and winning a Super Bowl.
that's my point.
Not necessarily the money.
That's my point. They don't care about the amount of money isn't going to sway
Yeah.
them to come back or not unless they just made atrocious investments.
Well, and so far we've seen Brett Veach make aggressive moves. They went out and got DeAndre Hopkins. They got Joshua Uche. We heard Brett Veach yesterday, who was on the Pat McAfee show. We played a couple of clips of that, and he talked about getting DeAndre Hopkins. And it certainly seemed like Juju Smith-Schuster's hamstring injury was the reason they went and got Hopkins. That if Juju Smith-Schuster doesn't injure his hamstring, DeAndre Hopkins isn't a Kansas City Chief. So perfect timing with that. He also said they were in on the Marshawn Lattimore deal. They were talking with the Saints to bring in Marshawn Lattimore.
Yep.
And he said, but the Commanders, quote, stepped up, and a third and a fourth rounder was too expensive. The Chiefs need those picks moving forward. So it certainly seemed like there was maybe some back and forth between the Chiefs and the Saints and the Commanders and whoever else, and they may have had, all right, we'll take this, but we're going to go back to the Commanders. You want to come over the top? And they were like, all right, we'll step up. We'll give you a third and a fourth. And she was like, yeah, we're going to fold. It's too rich for our blood. But even in on the Lattimore deal. So it would be surprising if they just simply say, status quo, Wanya and Kingsley, we're good the rest of the way, when they went and got Hopkins and Uche and were trying to bring on Marshawn Lattimore.
Yeah, and I mean with Lattimore, the Chiefs, hey, they would have been interested in maybe going into a 25 or 26 picks. I mean, it could have been multiple picks.
Mm-hmm.
They just had no interest in it being a third.
Yeah.
And and the Commanders could do that because to the Chiefs, Lattimore was a rental player. If they traded for him, they're releasing him in the offseason because his contract is too rich for their blood. It's not what they're doing. They're not bringing in a guy from the outside to come in and then pay $18 million per the next 2 years. Commanders can do that. They got plenty of salary cap space.
They have tons of it, yeah.
So when they acquired him, they viewed him as a 3-year player. They're not viewing him as a rental.
Exactly.
So that's why you can overpay and draft picks, and that's Chiefs felt like that was an overpay.
We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll get Matt's thoughts on this matchup this week and a prediction, and then we'll talk with Kendall Gammon. Mick Schaefer will join us. We got sad fans. We'll hear from Andy Reid. We continue more Zone on a Friday next. By the way, there will be no rain expected in Buffalo, so no November rain on Sunday in Buffalo, which is perfectly fine.
Well played.
Perfectly fine.
But it will be a civil war between those two teams.
This is not Civil War, though. This is November
No, I know,
rain.
but
I don't know.
saying-
I'm surprised you know so much about music that you thought this was Civil War.
No,
that's weird.
I'm saying I'm
it's
pulling
odd.
another song out.
I mean, I don't know. I feel like that's now an excuse to. Matt Derrick is
I
with us.
pulled out the deepest pull of a Guns N' Roses song in history
in the
history.
break. Matt Derrick.
Some say.
Chiefs Digest, 41 is the mic podcast. All right, Matt, what do you think of this matchup? No Kincaid. Amari Cooper is questionable, but will be wearing a cast on his hand. I tweeted out last night the cast that Amari Cooper showed the media that was there at practice yesterday that he's wearing. And he said if he's cleared, he'll play with that cast, and he's still trying to get used to catching with it. So what do you make of this matchup that's the latest with injuries of what's going on this weekend?
I mean, as banged up as the Chiefs are, the injuries actually are worse on the Buffalo side. To me, it comes down to this is the regular season, and this is when Buffalo shines in this game because it always means more to them than it does to the Chiefs. Chiefs want to win every game. I mean, I get that, and I think they want to win this one. But this is going to mean more to Buffalo. It's a tough environment, all of these things. I picked the Chiefs to lose this game at the beginning of the season. I still think it's the most likely game that they lose all season. I got to go with Buffalo in this one, even though I think that the Chiefs are the better team at this point. But I think that the intangibles are on Buffalo's side when it comes down to. It comes down to want to. And I just feel like Buffalo's going to have more want to in this one. They still have Josh Allen. They still have James Cook. Those are two big elements, and I think those two guys are going to have big games. And the overlooking of Dawson Knox can be to the Chiefs' chagrin because it has been before.
Yeah.
Good word.
Buffalo 24, Chiefs 23.
24-23. Oh, is it a made field goal by Buffalo or Spencer Schrader?
That's the question. I earlier in the week, I was thinking it was a late Buffalo field goal for the win. But now maybe it is. Maybe it's a Chiefs miss for the loss. You never know.
I think it would be serendipitous and perfectly timed if Xavier Worthy has a huge breakout game in this one. Like he has like a 60-yard touchdown. But like Mahomes and Worthy connect final. Well, they did against the Chargers, but we're talking about the last couple of weeks because Buffalo traded out of that spot. And everybody was so mad at Buffalo for allowing the Chiefs to get Worthy, and it hasn't really materialized this year. It would be funny if the Bills trade back and get Keon Coleman and the Chiefs get Xavier Worthy and Coleman is injured and can't play and Xavier Worthy has a couple of big plays that change the course and outcome of the game.
I mean, I'll say it if Xavier Worthy has a prodigious output, Chiefs win.
Facetious. You guys are all just using great words. I wanted to get one in there, too.
We're visiting with the very estimable Matt Derrick. Chiefs Digest 41 is the mic.
Very duplicitous
podcast.
of you. Very duplicitous.
Yes, shallow, pedantic.
Plethora is my favorite.
It's Matt, you're the man. Appreciate it, brother.
Take care, my friends.
Enjoy the football. We'll talk next week. Kendall Gammon. We'll talk some special teams, certainly with Kendall.
throw at him. It's Kendall Gammon in the Zone. Brought to you by Crown Toyota and Crown Volkswagen. Recognized as the #1 place to buy a new or pre-owned vehicle. Visit crownautomotive.com to see the latest deals. Experience the Crown difference.
All right, hanging out on a Friday edition of The Zone. Jason Anderson with you, Sterling Holmes, Dylan Michaels. Thank you to Matt Derrick. Great stuff from him, as always. Chiefs Digest 41 is the Mike podcast. Go and check that out. Chiefs and Bills coming up this weekend. Right now, let's talk with Kendall Gammon. As you heard, presented by Crown Toyota and Crown Volkswagen. Joining us here in The Zone. Kendall, welcome in, sir. How are you?
I'm doing good. How about yourself, Jace?
I am doing fine. This Chiefs team remains undefeated. We got some fun college football games ahead of us. College basketball is rolling on. The Current in action on Sunday. So it's all good around here, except for Kendall. Out of nowhere, it seemed like last night we get the news of Harrison Butker. I'm at home and I get a text from my brother that said, "What happened to Harrison Butker?" I'm like, what do you mean?
Exactly.
What are you talking about? What happened to Harrison Butker? So, of course, I immediately go and check it out, and it's surgery, IR, missing up to maybe a month or more. Like, I don't know what happened to Harrison Butker. What was your reaction, and what's your view there, Kendall, of Harrison Butker? He's going to have a scope, clean some things up in his meniscus, and going on IR could miss anywhere 3 to 4 weeks. Well, with IR, he's going to miss at least 4 games. But
yeah, just like you, Jace, I was surprised. I didn't hear it until this morning. And then when I heard it was, I was just like, okay, well, he's kind of in the NFL. It's kind of like going to the dentist a little bit. You got to get some things cleaned out. And I had a meniscus tear, posterior horn meniscus tear. More information than you want, but I remember I did it in the off season. But 2 or 3 weeks, I was back and moving along. Now I wasn't having to put the torque on the knee like he is. I would assume it's more than likely his plant leg, because that's where all the torque goes to. I remember Morton Anderson explaining to me a lot and talking about that with him, which was that was the biggest thing that I say drove him out of the league after 25 years. But all the same, it's amazing. That's just another thing that has happened to the Chiefs that they'll have to weather, and certainly with how they've done things this year and the one-score games, this is a big deal.
I'm really interested in getting more information on, how this injury came about and developed. Andy Reid will talk today because it certainly feels like it's a wearing down issue. It wasn't oops, I stepped wrong and now I got to go get this cleaned up. Getting something cleaned up, Kendall, is, you've talked about it, meniscus and going to the dentist in the NFL. Getting something cleaned up is typically like this had been building over time, and now it's to the point to where it may be a detriment for me to be out there for my team, correct? Is that a good assessment?
I think that's a fair assessment. Obviously, we won't know until Big Red gets up there, and I'm still not sure how much information you'll actually get. And I don't mean that in a bad way. Just sometimes you're not going to give it all. But, yeah, I do think that's just a thing. I will say this, though, for me, mine came on suddenly. And, again, that was so long ago I barely remember it. But I would think with him probably it's been bothering him, and can you play through it or not? I don't know this, but it would not surprise me if it was one of those things like, okay, I'm feeling some pain. They know what it is. And they're like, if you can make it through the season, we get you through the off season, then we can take care of it. It's not a big deal. And then, eventually at one point in time you plant and it finally moves a little bit too much and it's a little bit too painful for me. There would be a pinching in the knee to where it was just one of the worst pains you'd ever have, even though it's not unbelievably serious.
Visiting with Kendall Gammon, and I don't know if this is any coincidence or not, or if this was the one that sort of was a little bit too much for him to maybe try to make it through the season. But his last kick was that kickoff that looked like he slipped a little and then shanked it and landed at the 25 and slowly rolled out of bounds. And we heard Dave Tobe yesterday say, no, the plan was to kick it through the end zone. And if you miss it that bad. And he wasn't needed the rest of the game because the blocked field goal happened at the end of the game. So I don't know if maybe that was the one where he was just like, all right, we gotta go check this out because now it's becoming an issue, or it's more painful now after that kick, maybe just stepping on it wrong. and we need to get it figured out now so he's ready to go for the stretch run and the playoffs.
Yeah, exactly right. And, of course, he wasn't on the injury report on Wednesday, I don't believe. So that being said, that could also be a day where he generally may not kick anyhow very much. So that might make sense. It also might make sense that you just don't put him on there sometimes. I mean, we all know that happens, and it's not a detriment to anybody. It's just with those kind of things, you let it play out a little bit. But hopefully we'll get some more information, but the good thing is he's on the injury reserve where he can come back after 4 weeks. I think I'm right. You can correct me. Maybe you guys have been talking about it. But since he went on that, he will be out for at least 4 weeks, right? He has to be on there for 4?
Yep, for 4 of them. So, and they have called up Spencer Schrader. Not called up, but they claimed off the practice squad from the New York Jets, Spencer Schrader, who has not missed a kick this year. He kicked in week 1 with the Colts, kicked this past weekend with the Jets, was 3 for 3. All 9 points for the Jets was at the foot of Schrader. And the reporting went, Kendall, that when the Chiefs reached out to sign Spencer Schrader, the New York Jets offered him an active roster spot to stay with them, and he chose the Chiefs, even though the reporting is that he was offered an active roster spot and the opportunity to earn the job the rest of the way, and he still turned that down to come to Kansas City to kick for what is clearly an expiration date to his timing with Kansas City, that Harrison Butker is going to come back, and when he comes back, knock on wood, and when he comes back, he will be the full-time kicker. What do you make of not getting in the head of Spencer Schrader, have no idea what his circumstances are or anything, but that decision to where you're with the Jets, they offer you the active roster position and not just keep getting called up from practice squad and a chance to be the kicker the rest of the way, and you say, no, I'm going to go over here where I know there's a time limit on my job for the next 4 games.
Well, we think there's a time limit. We know it's at least 4 games. I think
good point.
The fact that he was offered the job and a chance to win it tells me that they probably still would have stayed with the other guy. They were just trying to protect him. And I think anytime you get a chance in this league to go play, you go play. I can remember, I won't name the player, but one of my last few years, there was a guy here, an offensive lineman, and the Chiefs tried to stash him. He wasn't going to play that year, but they knew he was good, and they offered him to stay, but he got a chance to go to another team. And I remember him talking to me about it. And I was like, you got to take you've got to take your chance, and if you can go play somewhere and they want you on the active roster as opposed to the practice squad, like they're saying here, you've got to do that. And he agreed, but he just needed to hear it from somebody else. And he ended up going to that team and winning the Super Bowl with them and having a really nice career. So I think anytime you get a chance to get on film and play several games, you have to take it. Then let's also talk about the fact that we know it's at least 4. We know it could be more also. So who knows with that? And, I mean, this is exactly how Butker got his job, was when Cairo Santos went down and he got hurt from, kicking and strained something. So I think anytime you get a chance to go get yourself on film for people to see you perform, you have to take it. Yeah,
and look, if he kicks for 4 weeks and that's it, and the Chiefs win a Super Bowl, he gets himself a ring.
Yes, exactly.
And we'll see what happens the rest of the way. And again, I hadn't heard of the guy until last night. They announced that he's the one that they signed, and at 3:25 in Buffalo, when the world or the NFL world is going to be watching Chiefs and Bills in this highly anticipated game, if he's stepping up and kicking field goals, a lot more people would know about Spencer Schrader than if he was staying in New York and kicking for the Jets and whoever the heck they've got this weekend. But the Jets will go with Anders Carlson. Dave Toub has had to do this a couple of times in the last few years. 2 years ago, we know that they went with the Mendola, and they ended up losing to the Colts. He missed a field goal, a chip shot field goal. They still would have beaten the Colts if it wasn't for Chris Jones being a big meanie head to Matt Ryan after the game and saying a mean word to him. And they get the 15-yard penalty and an automatic first down. Chiefs still could have stopped them from scoring a touchdown.
Right.
But they move on from him and they bring in Matthew Wright. And he was good, and he had the Chiefs record for, made field goal, the distance at 59 yards, and then Butker comes in the next week and breaks it. This isn't to where Kendall, good or bad, you can spin it the positive way. This isn't to where they have no experience of, all right, now we got to integrate this kicker because Harrison Butker has been the kicker for the last 5 years and hasn't missed a game. Like, they went through this a couple of years, so there was at least some familiarity, whether it's comfort or not, some familiarity in knowing what's going to be the hurdles to overcome with Schrader being in there and the operation being different with a new kicker now.
Yeah, it's interesting. There's a whole bunch of things to unpack there. I just think it's interesting in the fact that probably every coach, and of course Veach, I mean, they have somebody in the right-hand drawer ready to go and who they want, and that's how you have to be ready to go. I'm sure the minute that something happened, the Tobe knew exactly who he wanted, and they went out and got him, and that's how specialized it is. Now, you mentioned it. That's the big thing. Is the operation, and unfortunately you've got one of the best, if not the best, long snapper in the league in James Winchester, and then Matt Ariza has done a nice job holding. But that part of the equation should be fine. So now it is, Christian, how does he like the ball held? Because oftentimes you'll tilt it one way or the other. Sometimes you tilt it a little bit more forward, different things like that. And then just getting used to his timing of when he's ready, when you're going to put your hand up and call for the ball and things like that. So it's little things, but not a lot of time for them to do it. Yeah. So I guarantee you they've been going after it pretty hard. They may be going after it right now, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, the one thing that would one of the things that would certainly concern me is Butker is so experienced, and you would know this being around kickers and holders and everything, but I would guess that as Butker's approaching the football, if he could probably notice it being like a half-inch off or a half-inch tilted one way or another, and maybe make an adjustment in his mind as he's approaching the football because he's kicked so many times in the NFL, so many times in his career that he's got that experience to where he can maybe adjust a little bit. Or if the ball is, I think it was it preseason when Noah Gray had the long snap? And so Noah Gray came in and long snapped, and the ball took a little bit longer to get back there. You could tell that it was not the same pace as Winchester to get back there to Ariza. And Harrison Butker almost had to delay a little bit as he was getting ready to plant and swing his foot through. And it was like, okay, that was noticeable that was different. How much do you think the Chiefs have that advantage of somebody like Butker who's as experienced that, he can look at it and see, well, that's tilted one way, so maybe I've got to drive my foot this way, or that thing is actually an inch further away from Ariza than I would like, so now I got to plant this way to approach the football. And how much does that actually go on in a game?
To the best of my knowledge, I think that part of it does not go on. Okay. They try to have a golf swing, and you go after it. You see after the fact, and at least in my experience, is the kickers notice after the fact that if the ball is being put down a little bit away from the spot, because they're just trying to swing it. Now, as far as the timing of the ball getting back there a little bit slower than that, they do. They recognize that, and you see sometimes they have to delay, and when they have to delay, then the whole process is really kind of messed up a little bit. That's when you pull one or push one. So the first part, I don't think they really deal with that much unless it's really, really egregious and you can really tell. But it happens so very quick because the ball, they don't even time the snap. Basically on field goals, what they do is, from snap to hold, it needs to be, or snap to foot on ball, it needs to be 1.3 or less. And so you're timing those different things. And when it's that quick, you really don't have a lot of time to adjust, at least effectively.
No, that's a good point. Now, picturing it in my mind as the ball is being placed down and the approach is being, taken, that plant foot as the ball is, spinning and getting into the spot, and then the foot swing. Slow motion, it looks like you got a little bit of time, but real time, that's almost like you're swinging at the spot the ball then ends up there. Visiting with Kendall Gammon, presented by Crown Toyota, Crown Volkswagen. All right, let's talk about the play on Sunday, the blocked field goal, Leo Chenal overpowering Alex Forsythe, a man who's been in that position so many times on the kick protection team and the long snapping. What was your reaction to seeing that take place and Leo Chenal getting the blocked kick?
Well, my first reaction was the Chiefs are about to lose this game because 35 yards is a chip shot and it should be made, and it normally is. when they lined up, I was like, uh-oh, they're definitely bringing it on that side. So I did see that. Still not expecting much because in my mind, I've always had this explained to me by special teams coaches, which is, okay, listen, you as in terms of trying to block a field goal, you go as hard as you can each and every time. If the other team does their job, you're not going to get it. But if you can find a weak link and you keep going, then you can exploit something. And it's when you exploit something that didn't go perfectly that you have a chance to block one. And that's exactly what happened. I mean, when you get a couple 300-pound guys going after somebody, you're not going to hold in there generally. Now he really got toppled over, and of course, I always joked about my job in the NFL was snap ball, get crap knocked out of you. It is part of the job, but it's difficult. But I just think it's interesting that Chanel really had an idea of what was going on and how he'd gone around in one way or the other, and finally realized he could basically go through him. And it's tough. There's no doubt about it. But from Denver's side of that shouldn't happen. But that also speaks to the coaching of KC and the will of this team and what they do and never giving up. And I know those are all cliches, but in this case, they're true.
Yeah, that was going to be one of the things that I definitely wanted to ask you is the specifics on that play. Leo Chanel and how he approached the first rush at the first
Right.
extra point. They did not rush against Forsyth, but the second extra point they did. The attempted field goal before half they did, and then that field goal at the end of the game they did. Forsyth has I tweeted this out on Monday morning that Forsyth, the last 9 times that he has been rushed against, he has fallen backwards on his butt 8 times. So 8 of the last 9 times. I know the saying is, you got to die a slow death. And I've heard, some that are like, well, you get your butt kicked and guys are falling all the time. I mean, I went and looked at the game, and there all of the Chiefs kicks and all of the Broncos kicks and extra points, there was one guy on the ground, and it was him.
Oh, interesting.
That can't be the technique just to fall backwards, right? I mean,
I
know die a slow death, but that can't be the technique of getting touched and falling backwards.
No, and that's not a slow death. That's a quick death.
Exactly.
I think something that should be noted also, and I think you heard some of the players talk about it, is the fact that how Justin Reed brings it off the edge and gets so very close all the time. And the fact is, when you're doing that, I mean, you see that a lot more generally than the inside stuff, so people are aware of that. And because of that, they mentioned the fact that there's a little bit more attention paid out there as well. But you're right. You should be able to hold in a little bit. I mean, you may end up getting toppled over like I did, here and there, but you've got to hold in a little bit. All you got to do is let them not get in unobstructed, which is essentially what Chanel did.
Yeah, it's and also sort of odd that your weakness is that position, whether that's the tight end position on the kick protection or the tackle, whatever they call it.
Right.
I think the actual position might be called the tight end on the kick unit, that particular spot. But being there and knowing that's sort of the weak spot and the Chiefs' strength of having Justin Reed and Leo Chanel over there, and then going to the right hash to kneel to go and kick it, like it was almost as if the Broncos were playing into the strength of the Chiefs. It doesn't mean that a kick is going to get blocked because they haven't had one blocked this year, but it is just sort of interesting that was the decision that was made, and it worked out in the Chiefs' favor. And I think those are there's so much of players have to go and make plays. Okay, players have to go and dominate. Leo Chanel has been a great find out of Wisconsin. He's been a good player, and he dominated Forsyth on that, and he deserved to be Special Teams Player of the Week. But coaching and attention to detail matters too, and I think there's a reason why the novice will say the Chiefs keep getting lucky, and those of us that have been watching this team time and time again would say, yeah, you can't win all of these close games and it just be luck. They have an extra element that other coaching staffs and teams don't have, and I think it showed through on that particular play.
Yeah, it really did. And even to go back to, I'll go with the offensive side of things, years back when Spencer Ware started playing running back, or even the other guy, I forget his name, we called him Skittles, but he was from Abilene Christian.
Sharkandrick West?
Yeah, thank you. I remember seeing those guys as rookies just getting coached hard, and they were way down the depth chart. And I remember thinking, man, these guys are not going to see the light of day, and neither one of them made the 53 man. I think they were on practice squad for a while, but that just speaks to Andy Reid and what he believes. If the people are there, you coach them because you never know. And I think that's just one of the things that they do really, really well. Now, to back up to a little bit in terms of them getting the ball on the right hash to kick that, all kickers have a side that they like to kick from generally. And, lots of kickers will kick a little bit of a draw. So if that's the case, you're going to get on that right side, maybe aim for that right, the inside of the field goal post, and it may pull a little bit. Some kickers kick a fade a little bit, so it'd be opposite. But I think that's what they were trying to do, because when it comes down to it, one side or the other, again, that shouldn't happen in terms of what Denver did, and that's on them, and it's also kudos to the Chiefs for just coming after it.
It's a great point you brought up about Justin Reid too, because I think it was Leo Chanel that said when they were lining up and they were getting set for the snap, they were hearing everybody say, "There's 20, there's 20, there's 20," and specifically pointing out Justin Reid. There's number 20 right there. And I watched that thing. I've probably seen that field goal block about 50 or 60 times conservatively since Sunday.
Right.
And it wasn't until yesterday, maybe, that I saw the angle that was a little bit different than directly behind. And I didn't realize Justin Reid just got hooked and pulled as he was going around the edge. That would have been something to where if the field goal goes in, people would have just moved on and gone about their day, and the Chiefs finally lose, whatever, and maybe not have paid as much attention. But my goodness, Reid just got held and hooked and pulled backwards. And but to your point, they were giving so much attention and worrying about 20 that guy on the end, was having to exaggerate to get out there to block Justin Reid, who is, one of the best at one of the best get-offs against the field goal, in the block unit, and they had to pay attention to him. And there's number 20 right there, number 20, and Chanel's like, all right, cool, because I'm going up against 54 right here. He's about to get his ass whipped.
It's kind of the same thought process as you look at the defense in terms of people obviously want to know where 95 is, Chris Jones, and he may not be in the play, but he takes people up and he opens other people up to make a play, and they go do what they're coached to do, and all of a sudden they get the accolades, but it's somebody like a Chris Jones who's so good that people have to pay attention to him that helps make the play.
Kendall Gammon is our guest, presented by Crown Toyota, Crown Volkswagen. What do you think about this matchup this weekend? The Chiefs typically lose in the regular season to the Bills and win in the postseason, but this matchup this weekend, the Bills are certainly banged up. The Chiefs have their injuries, no doubt, but this particular matchup on Sunday with the Bills.
Yeah, you know what? I think a lot of people think just because the Broncos are not a good team, we beat them, and Buffalo is, that we should go there and potentially lose. And I know it's a chance, but I don't know. I think Travis Kelce is going to have somewhat of a field day, because the middle of the field is a weak spot for this defense of Buffalo, and I just feel like with that and DeAndre Hopkins and hopefully Juju being back as well, although I don't know how often those three will be in a lot, but I just think there's a chance for them to do some good things. And I think the Chiefs, I'm not going to pick against the Chiefs until I see them lose. I'm also not going to pick them to blow anybody else out until I see them win by more than double digits for the most part. But I've got it 31-28, the Chiefs. I just think there's a chance. I think it's also noteworthy. I've talked to several folks in the Buffalo area this week, and they've talked about not only the media but the players in general. They've talked about it, and then maybe Josh Allen even said it, which is all he knows is they haven't beat him in the playoffs. How important is this game? It's one game, but that's not what they're truly focused on. They want to win, but when it comes down to it, is they have to win in the playoffs if they see them.
Yeah, I think Josh Allen was asked specifically about, hey, these matchups that you've had with Patrick Mahomes, and you look at the total numbers in these games, you're right there in numbers with, a two-time MVP. And his response was, yeah, but I know we're 0-3 in the playoffs against him. So
Exactly.
I don't care about
Yep.
my numbers. 0-3 is the number that I care about.
But I like that. I like that
Oh,
from
yeah.
him. He obviously knows. I mean,
Absolutely.
that's all he cares about. He doesn't care about the damn numbers, which you
Yeah.
got to love that. I mean, I think he's potentially the second best QB in the league. Maybe not even potentially. Maybe it is there. I don't know. But all the while, if I'm a teammate of his, I like that answer.
Yep, absolutely. Me too. Kendall Gammon, Crown Toyota, Crown Volkswagen. We like you and your answers as well each and every Friday with us. Thank you, sir. Enjoy the football, and we will talk next week.
Sounds good. Take care.
Absolutely. There's Kendall Gammon joining us as the Chiefs do beat the Broncos. They're 9-0. They get ready for the Buffalo Bills coming up this weekend. If you're just joining us, news out of Buffalo is that Dalton Kincaid has already been ruled out. Did not practice Wednesday and Thursday, not practicing today. Sean McDermott has said Dalton Kincaid will not play this weekend. Keon Coleman, he ruled out at his Monday press conference earlier this week. And Amari Cooper is questionable with limited participant in practice all 3 days this week. And if he plays on Sunday, he will be wearing a cast on his left hand. That'll go halfway down his palm and his around his thumb as well. So we'll see how that would impact him. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back, continue rolling. We'll hang out with Mick Schaefer. We will hear from Andy Reid at 1 o'clock. We've got sad fans coming up today. We'll tell you who's lighting it up. We got the cuts before the show is over. All that still to get into. More Zone on a Friday right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. o'clock, little Fast Friday with Andy.
How fast we think? What's the over-under?
I think it'll be a little bit slower today because there'll be a lot of questions about Butker. We'll also hear from George Karloftis and Mike Pinnell. So those guys will be at the podium after Andy Reid talks.
And maybe some questions about this game, this huge game. All week long, we've just been asking them about the kick and about the way last game. And I'm like, hey, the Bills are coming up, right? It's a chance to get to 10-0 against the best team on your schedule. Maybe a few queries about them.
I don't know. It's a look right past us. Start talking about the Panthers. Let's get really down to the nuts and bolts here.
What's the over-under going to be set at? A minute 59 and a half?
I think it's going to be longer today. I think with the Butker injury coming out of nowhere, Juju, if he's playing or not,
is he going to answer questions? Is my point.
That's a great point. There'll be a lot of
questions.
He is quick with his answers on Friday.
They're injury questions. I think 2 might be a good over-under time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
159.5.
It's like the length of the national anthem.
Yeah.
Yeah, 159.5. I like that one.
Okay.
159.5.
Is that 5 or 30?
159.30. 159.30.
Okay.
Yeah. So 0.5. 159.5. 159.30.
Mick over/under.
I'm going to take the
over. I'll do over.
Yeah,
well, someone has to take the under.
Just because I think there's been so few questions. We were laughing about it. Like Nick yesterday, he goes to the pressers, and he'll come back, and we have a lot of Chiefs segments, and he'll give me ideas like, okay, here's Spags, here's Nags, and all that. I'm like, how about some, because we do Chief concerns about the next game. I'm like, are there any questions? Like, no, everybody's still stuck.
Whenever he starts, I have the stopwatch. Whenever he starts.
How'd you get that? Is that an app?
Your phone has a stopwatch on it?
Apple.
Thank you for showing us that you have that. I wouldn't have believed you if you'd have just said that.
I'm showing that I'm not going to lie and that I'm a truthful person. What do you think I was going to count? 1,
I don't know if you've shown that yet.
3 Mississippi.
I want the old school stopwatch like we used to time 40s with. Wow, this guy ran a 4.02.
3.9?
Well, you started it after you'd taken 4 steps.
And then you stopped it 10 yards shy.
This guy's probably faster than Deion Sanders. Yeah. This is the fastest 40 I've ever seen. That's actually a 35-yarder, so you did not measure out 40 yards correctly.
Tyson Paul.
Listen, I'll be wrong on this. Even I'm just not. There's no way I'm going Paul. Tyson, just Tyson, please. Please let it be Tyson. I saw a tweet that will unite all of us, blue and red. Republican, Democrat, after this election, we'll be all reunited in cheering for Mike Tyson.
So everyone's going Tyson, myself included. I feel like everyone's betting on Tyson.
Listen, weight classes and age classes, they exist for a reason in sports, okay? Age is a real thing. Father time is a real thing. But if he doesn't win, so much of my youth will be taken away. We were one of the only ones in Caldwell. We were one of the richest ones. We had 13 channels, not 12. Because my dad sprung for HBO.
How about that? What, you guys had HBO?
We had HBO, so people came over and we would watch Mike Tyson fights.
Silver Spoon Schaefer over here.
That's exactly it. It was Ricky Schroeder said it.
Triple S.
And then, and then Carlton, I believe, was on that show. We watched that. We had that channel too. And so we
actually had 2 channels.
I mean, Mike Tyson was a superhero, and maybe you might have been a little young for it, but coming of age, like loving sports. I mean, that guy was, Tiger Woods. He was Michael Jordan, LeBron James. I mean, he was there. There was nobody ever going to beat that guy, and then somebody beat that guy, and you're like, why? What?
Buster Douglas, baby.
They made a video game about this guy.
They made a video game about Buster Douglas after that, actually.
I don't think they did.
They did. Yeah.
They made a Buster Douglas video game?
Yeah, they did. And then
did they sell any copies?
I don't know. And then he got beat by, obviously, Evander Holyfield, the next fight.
His next bout, he didn't have it very long.
I got the Nintendo glove, right? The glove you put on, and it was basically you could play any game on it, but it's basically for Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. And on the commercials, you're thinking like, oh, you're just throwing punches, right? And the glove's going to pick it up. No. You had to hold your arm out. Oh. And for like a right punch, you just twisted your fist that way. For a left punch, twisted that way. Uppercut like that. And it was so exhausting because you're holding your arm out. I'm like, I just want to throw punches.
Yeah.
The technology wasn't there yet.
Right. It's like then they came out with the Wii, right? Then you'd actually have full interaction.
Then you could do
there.
like bowling and golf and all that stuff.
And boxing. I don't even know if they do boxing in Wii, but that would be cool if you did.
The 1988 arcade game Final Blow was released as James Buster Douglas Knockout Boxing.
88?
In 88.
Did he beat him in 88?
But
early 90s, right?
But then the game, it was an arcade game. It was, I guess, re-released in 1990 as James Buster Douglas Knockout Boxing for the Master System and Sega Genesis.
They tried to pounce on that 15 minutes there.
Yeah, it's supposed to be a response to Mike Tyson's Punch Out.
Because that
boxing was big.
That was 90.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was huge. And Tyson was more than a human. Like he was a godlike figure when he would walk into the ring.
The black trunks, man, and he was the villain, but everybody cheered for him, man.
And if you were going over to a Tyson fight get together, you damn sure better be there before it starts, because by the second round it might be over.
Be quick.
And then everybody complains about spending the money on the pay-per-view, and then Tyson lasted it was like 45 seconds. Are you kidding me, Peter McNeely?
Yeah. Damn, Schaefer, I'm glad I didn't pay for HBO.
I broke my back.
I'm Peter McNeely.
Vertebrae, spinal.
Yeah, that was before he all blows the head at that point. But that was before things went really, really south.
Do we want to hear Tyson talk about his legacy?
Yeah.
He was interviewed.
Is that the one with the little kid?
He was interviewed yesterday by
I've not heard this. I saw the video. I've not heard it yet.
Yeah, so to set the scene, there's it's a 13-year-old girl that is interviewing Mike Tyson, getting ready for this fight against Jake Paul. And here is this about minute-long interaction between this cub reporter and a 58-year-old grown-ass man, Mike Tyson.
Well, in your return to the ring for this fight, you are setting a monumental opportunity for kids my age to see the legend Mike Tyson in the ring for the first time. So after such a successful career, what type of legacy would you like to leave behind when it's all said and done?
Well, I don't know. I don't believe in the word legacy. I just think that's another word for ego. Legacy doesn't mean nothing. That's just some word everybody grabbed onto. Someone said that word and everyone grabbed on the word, so now it's used every 5 seconds. It means absolutely nothing to me. I'm just passing through. I'm going to die, and it's going to be over. Who cares about legacy after that? What a big ego. So I'm going to die. I want people to think that I'm this, I'm great. No, we're nothing. We're just dead. We're dust. We're absolutely nothing. Our legacy is nothing.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that. That is something that I have not heard before, someone say that as an answer.
Can you really imagine somebody say, I want my legacy to be this way when you're dead? Why do you want somebody you think somebody really wants to think about you? What's the audacity? I think, I want people to think about me when I'm gone. Who the cares about me when I'm gone? Well, my kids, maybe, or grandkids. Who cares?
I mean, that is the definition of legacy, right? What people think about you when you're gone.
Yes,
but I love that mindset.
13, who the gives a...
I also
we're nothing,
love her
we're
going...
dead, we're
the
dust.
Long pause,
the long pause before... I have never gotten that answer before.
Thank you. It's like Tysher after a Reed answer.
Okay. And Brad, I'll have a follow-up. Okay. We're nothing. We're dead. We're dust. Who the cares about legacy?
Related news, Joe Mazzulla has hired Mike Tyson to be one of his assistant basketball coaches, because that was like a Mazzulla answer, the head coach of the Celtics.
Kyle Shanahan. It doesn't matter. We can all be dead Sunday.
We'll be dead by Sunday. I don't know who's going to be there.
All I know
who's
is
gonna
if I was Jake Paul, I think I might be more scared after hearing that answer. That's how he talks to 13-year-old interviewers.
It's so great.
I mean, Mike's going to have a tougher mindset, absolutely, than
that was just
Jake Paul. But
it was just such a generic, benign question of like, hey, all right, we're here. This is a cool access. Are you talking to Mike Tyson? What do you want your legacy to be? All right, well, let me school you there, 13-year-old who still believes the world is great and everything is roses and sunshine. Nothing bad happens in the world. Let me tell you what happens. We're dead. We're dust. We're gone. Nothing. Who cares about legacy?
Dust.
Boop. Who cares? Death.
Dust.
We're dead.
Legacy.
You're dead. Who cares about legacy? You're dead. I want him dead. I want a family dead. I want him burned to the ground. I feel like that was a little bit of Mike Tyson there.
I hope he hates Jake Paul as much as he hates the word legacy. I hope he...
By the way, though, for her, though, that actually was the
100%.
best possible situation. Was that now that is going to be...
Oh, she's viral.
She's going to show all of her family, her kids for life. Like, oh, yeah, you got a nice clip there. You talked to Mike. Look what I got from Iron Mike.
Yeah. Holyfield got less of an ear, and I got this interview, and it's sort of the same. You know?
And now Mike Tyson and Holyfield are like friends. They became friends like after the fight. Like, how does anyone bite your ear off and you're like, you know what? I want a beer with that guy.
I got to interview Holyfield in studio about 10 years ago, and he allowed me to take a picture biting his ear.
Way.
I was acting like I was right there.
I got to see this picture.
Yeah, I'll show you the picture at the break. But he allowed me to do that. He's obviously very cool about it. Unlike Carlton, that does not want to talk about being Carlton. Alfonso Ribero's like, I'm not talking about being Carlton.
Second time we brought up Carlton.
I don't want to be. I don't
What
want
else
to
are we
going to
talk about?
I know, right? Exactly. Unlike
Dancing with the Stars.
Unlike
he
Rob,
does that. He does that. America's Funniest Home Videos. We're still going, and he still does
he
the
does
dance.
the Carlton. But if you interview him, it's about everything going on now, or non-Carlton stuff, or like Rob Van Winkle is all about Ice Ice Baby.
Yeah,
he will. We had him on at the Super Bowl, and he was like, because I remember, Carlton not wanting to talk about Carlton, and I'm like, some people don't really want to. He's like, why wouldn't I? That's why I'm here. It's like the only
play the hits, man.
He's like the only reason he was in That's My Boy with Adam Sandler. Like he was in that. So he was at Super Bowl promoting that movie, and he was like, the only reason I'm in a movie is because I did Ice Ice Baby. That's the only reason people know me. Why would I shy away from that? Of course I'm gonna talk about Ice Ice Baby. You kidding me? I'm like, I like you. I like this guy. I like this guy. All right, we'll take a timeout. We'll come back. Sad fans. Should we have some sad fans next?
Okay, I got to text my dad. He was like, I thought sad fans happened on Wednesday. And your mom and I were listening out here, sad fans. He loves sad fans. He's the biggest sad fan. He doesn't know about Reddit or anything. So he wants to know the whole process and all that stuff. So I'm texting him right now.
So the irony of that is on Wednesday, he was a sad fan by not getting sad fans.
Right, exactly.
But we all can be happy because sad fans next. Broncos edition. Here it is. And now things Broncos fans said on Reddit. I'm tired of this commercial. Chiefs can bundle Ruski my balls. Who put this offense together? I mean, not one dynamic player. Reply, we have one of the highest dead caps in the league. Reply, I don't give two f***s. Reply, then why'd you ask in the first place?
Starting strong.
It's in the rule book, guys. You can't touch Patrick Mahomes without the express written consent of the National Football League. I didn't see it in the rule book. Are they just ignoring Kelsey moving during the snap? Reply, yeah, they're ignoring him because he plays for the Chiefs. Reply, guys, stop embarrassing us. It's called motion.
They were pissed.
Sean in his bag. Nice Peyton. Reply, Peyton or Peyton? Reply, Peyton. Reply, Peyton.
That was not.
I'm not sure how Mahomes moves around so well with that lucky horseshoe up his ass. You can't save him now, refs. This team hasn't lost since Christmas. Reply, until today. Reply, I seriously cannot believe we're going to pull this off. Reply, my life. All we have to do is take knees and kick the field goal. I want to crush this feeling up and snort it. This is amazing. Didn't work out. No matter how this ends, this has been the best game to watch. Reply to self, I lied. This game. I don't think I can watch. I feel a massive nervous dump coming on. Please just make this kick. Well, at least the refs can't steal this one from us. If he misses this field goal, I'll eat my own shoe.
Oh, jeez.
Edit, 5 minutes later. I'm not actually eating my shoe. What? And I cannot stress this enough. The I just want to break everything. After that block, there needs to be legal investigations into game fixing for the Chiefs. I'm not joking. I feel like I just got kicked in the balls. Reply, if it was Lutz, it would have been blocked. I'm done watching for the rest of the season. Reply, see you next week, buddy.
Every time.
Literally outplay them all game, and we still lose. What a joke this league is.
It's the league's fault.
I still have to work tonight, or I skip and get cozy with my friends Jack and Jim. I'll regret either choice tomorrow morning regardless. You know what sucks worse than losing to the Chiefs? Nothing. Actually, absolutely nothing. I hated the Chiefs long before God decided to love them. How are there like 10 Chiefs blocking that? Reply, because some fat ass who's done this his entire life apparently forgot how to play football. I just watched it again. 54 should be ashamed of himself. Rolled straight back over like a kid in gymnastics class.
Tumbling.
This game is a prison on planet bullshit in the galaxy of this sucks camel. I didn't yell. I didn't swear. I'm just sitting here. I haven't felt this sad by a loss in a while. Reply, I yelled and swore enough for the both of us. Somehow that was worse than anything that could have happened. I just know God is punishing me for thinking about this game all morning and not paying attention in church. WTF field goal unit. And by WTF, I mean, what the
I'd clarify.
Yeah. You know what? You can shove that script right up your ass, Roger Goodell. If someone killed me right now, it would be viewed as divine intervention. Hey, Broncos, on behalf of all non-Chiefs fans, you. The TV is off, and I'm sitting here in shock. This might be the hardest I've ever felt a loss. I'm legitimately dazed right now. The Chiefs' luck is like the magician pulling out the handkerchief. Only this handkerchief can go itself. Sean Payton said that he had an open-door policy. I didn't think it was for the other teams to block a field goal. And now the runner-up to things Broncos fans said on Reddit. I just went to the bathroom and man cried for a minute straight. My heart is shattered.
I just like it. That's a sad one.
And now the winner of things Broncos fans said on Reddit. Illegal contact my ass. Reply, I believe you're missing a comma.
Wow.
Okay, I don't get that one.
Illegal contact my bleeping ass.
You need a
illegal
comma
contact,
in there.
comma.
You
my
forgot
ass.
the comma.
Looks like you're telling somebody to do illegal contact here. All right, we'll take a break. Come back.
I'm going to try to explain it to me.
Yep,
after the
I'll get to you. It's quantum physics next.
Going and then wasn't able to do it. Then we took care of that. Then it was confirmed what it was, and so he ended up having surgery this morning. So surgery was successful. We'll see how it all goes time wise. I mean, I can't tell you time wise, but and within that, we brought in Spencer Schrader to come in and do the kicking. He's a young guy, so his resume isn't long, but the ones he's had, he's done a nice job with, and Beach felt comfortable with that, along with Dave Tobe. So we invite him in, and he can do the kicking going forward here until Butt is able to return. So with that, time's yours.
It's a meniscus, was that right?
Yeah.
You said you don't have a timetable here, but you are expecting him back at some point?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What do you guys like about the new guy?
Yeah, he's got a very strong leg, and he's done well. He ended up, they used him, obviously, elevated him at the Jets. So they had a couple kickers there, and obviously they favored him.
Any particular challenges for a young guy coming in late in the week to do this job?
I don't think as much of that as just being a young guy in this situation. I mean, but the kid's traveled around the world here a little bit, playing soccer, and has a strong leg, and he kicked at Notre Dame his last year, so it's not the first big crowd he'll be in front of, so I think he'll be all right.
Andy, can you describe just the confidence that you've had in Harrison, how that's maybe affected, particularly like late game scenarios, the Bengals, you kind of know that.
Yeah, listen, I mean, he's done phenomenal. He's a great kicker. I mean, arguably going to be a Hall of Fame kicker going forward. And so, no, it's great. But again, we welcome this kid in and give him a shot. So.
Coach, is it still the same as it was many of you in Pacheco another week, and
Yes.
optimism for Juju?
Yeah, and both those guys, I thought did a nice job with this week. They were working on scout team and moved around well. So they'll be listed as out. And then Juju's had a good week. So as our other guys have in preparation against a good football team.
You've had quite a few guys get hurt. You have to deal with that all the time. I mean, you always just kind of focus down and just don't worry about that stuff. Does it feel like this is more than normal? I mean, now you got your best players kind of getting hurt in practice. I mean, how do you just deal with that as an organization?
As a coach, you go forward. I mean, that's what you do. And so you don't sit there and let that stall you. You move forward and you stay optimistic with it. So in this case, I don't really know the kid, but I look forward to seeing him do his thing. And he's supposed to be a pretty good player.
Coach, you mentioned not really knowing him. Does that change? Does that change things for you in game?
No. We're gonna let him kick.
Okay. Thanks, Coach.
All right.
And that would
320.
officially be one of the longest Fast Fridays for Andy Reid.
He was going at 3/4 speed.
Yeah. That was a Fast
Walk
Friday. Andy was the over. We all hit the over. Here is, I believe it's going to be Mike Pennell and then George Karlaftis. So let's hear from Mike Pennell at the podium now.
All right, go for Mike.
Mike, obviously, Buffalo's run the ball extremely well this year, and also pretty high volume, the frequency of which they run it. What do you see in their running game for why they've been so successful with it this year?
I think it's the QB runs. They have an excellent back in Cook. We're real familiar with this opponent. We battled over a few years, but it's the simplicity and execution of that run game. Stretches open, some gap scheme stuff. They got a quarterback that can run downhill. That's a bigger guy, so that's what we see. That's what we're up against.
What you kind of always have to keep in mind when they do some of the RPO stuff, and like you said, I mean, Josh Allen is a real threat with his legs too.
We got to get in the lanes. We got to fill those lanes up. We got to have a relentless pass rush in those times and those moments, and everybody just has to stay in their gap, and we got the group of guys to do it.
Not sure how many times you played there except for the playoff game last year. What's that environment like?
It's hostile. They have a great fan base. They're similar to the Chiefs Kingdom. They're loud the entire time. It's been a lot of great battles. It's a real hype game for everyone, but it's an excellent place to play.
It's been 2 seasons now, but what has it been for you to be back in Kansas City after bouncing around that first stint?
Everything. This is kind of home for me. Just trying to end up finishing my career here. It's been great success here both times, and just trying to continue that. And the family atmosphere, the teammates, the coaches, they make it feel the same every time. So it's great to be here.
What is it like just working with Chris? It seems like even this year he's taken it to another level.
Oh man, it's entertaining. He makes everybody around him level of play go up. His work ethic, his leadership, which I feel like he's really excelled in that area this year, and bringing our defense together as a whole. He's such a talented player, generational talent, where he dictates where plays go. So being on the field with him makes my job a lot easier.
How much, Mike, did you know about Joshua Uche, and what's it been like sort of working with him now for a couple weeks?
I've heard about him in college. I saw him a little bit over in New England, and Mike Dana, they were teammates together. So we know that he's a speed rusher. He's a guy that gets after quarterback. The Spags, playbook is complex, but he's picking it up very well. He's, blended well with the guys, hard worker, entertainment in the locker room, and, just keep him under the wing and just let him know it's a family atmosphere, giving him room to grow, room to work.
Like getting back to the way Buffalo's run the ball well this year, do you enjoy when an opponent's done that just because that is a lot of what you try and do?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, run games are, I know I'm going to get a lot of usage. I pride myself in those moments for looking forward to that challenge. They got a great O-line. And like I say, Josh Allen is one of those competitors that's at the top of the league with how they run their scheme and, the play action and how he does things in that offense. And that's why they run the game successful. So as a defense and even me, I look forward to games like this.
You mentioned knowing this opponent well. How would you describe the environment that you're expecting in Buffalo?
A great environment. We know their fans are going to be hyped, amped up for the game. Like I said before, they're similar to the Chiefs Kingdom, so we know that guys kind of want to get after us after last year, but we're ready for that challenge.
Mike, what's it like when you're midway through the season and another team obviously is good and that you potentially might see them down the road? Are there things that you can sort of pick up or understand that, this sort of sets up potentially what could happen later on in the season?
Absolutely. I mean, you're always aware of like the standings and the opponent you're going against. But I mean, ever since Josh Allen's been in Buffalo, it's kind of been that scenario. So it's kind of we're going into the same thing. We know how important this game is. We know what rides on it, and we're prepared.
Anything else? Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Mike.
All right, there's Mike Pinnell. Knew of Mike Dana, teammates with Joshua Uche, but he knew of Uche from college and a little bit of New England.
So it's Dana.
Is it Dana or Dana?
It's Dana.
It's Dana. That's what I said. I've always said Dana.
You got George. Now I'll tell you about this website coming up next.
I can't wait to hear about it. There is a firewall here, though. Here's George Karlaftis.
Yeah, absolutely. They got great guys all over the board. Starting with their quarterback, they got great running back, offensive line, receivers, great defense too. It's a tough environment to play in. We've played a lot of close games with them. Haven't won one, at least since I've been here in the regular season. Beat them in the playoffs, obviously, but we got to bring our A game this week.
What's the challenge that just goes into the quarterback that can have the dual threat, but specifically Allen when he
of course.
Body?
Yeah, you know what? What's unique about him is he could run. He could first of all, he's like one of the best quarterbacks in the league, right? That goes without saying. But when he can move as well as he does, and he's my size is not a little bigger. You respect that even a little more. So he's like I said, one of those elite guys, can make all the throws, is dangerous with his feet. So you got to have stuff, and you got to prepare all week for a guy like that.
George, getting to the quarterback, whether that's pressures, hurries, even sacks, is D-line kind of where you want to be at this point in the season, or are you kind of behind where you hope to be?
You don't count them in the middle of the season. You count them when the season's done. We're not where we want to be from an individual perspective. All of us, we know we could play a lot better. That's what every week's for. Just being able to constantly improve and get better every single week, and then work our tails off, and chips will fall where they do. So. Definitely not where we want to be. And I'm not talking statistics and stuff like that. I'm talking just from our play, because we know we can be a lot better. The standard for us is a lot higher. So we just got to keep elevating.
I asked Mike a similar question, but how have you seen Chris Jones raise the bar a little bit further this year?
Oh my gosh, Chris is a beast, man. Seriously, maybe his stats aren't there, like they have in other years that I've been with him, and I know they'll come. I'm not even. But just to see, like, almost every pass, he's double teamed. He just commands so much attention. When it's a one-on-one, it's like, all right, he's going to win it for the most part, at least. So that's the mentality that we have. So he's our leader in the defensive line. So I've been with him 3 years now, and the thing that he's improved the most in my opinion is his leadership. Just seeing how much more of a leader he's become. The play goes without saying, but just how great of a leader he is and he has become has been awesome for our group, and he's the guy that gets it going for us up front.
George, is there any way to describe how kind of exhausting it is for a defense? Late in the fourth quarter, the opponent's got to get down the field in a hurry, and you're trying to stop them. I know teams have had success against you in those occasions, fourth quarter drives.
Yeah.
But it just seems like that puts a defense in such a tough spot. Offense is going so quickly. How tiring is that for you guys?
You'd say tiring from like a physical perspective, yeah. It's tiring whenever there's like a 2-minute offense. Any kind of hurry up, no huddle. That's going to be, physically pretty exhausting for the most part. With all the tempo and whatnot. And for us, we're in a situation where we got to stop them by any means necessary. So that's, you're going all out every single play, and then like it's the last, and you're hoping it is. So.
Would you have blocked the field goal if Leo didn't?
You watch the tape. Well, I think. You can never. Give credit to Leo. That was an amazing effort by him. Maybe I would. Maybe I would have. I don't live in the world of hypotheticals. So.
But you were you obviously were in position to take it.
I was in the position I needed to be.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, George.
Thanks, guys.
All right, there's George Karlaftis. Would you have blocked it if it wasn't for You watched the tape.
You saw the tape.
You saw the tape. You watched it. Check tape. You know what? Check tape. Check tape.
That
I was
punk
there.
Leo slid in front of me.
I was in the position I was supposed to be in until that no-talent ass clown became famous and started blocking kicks. Why should I change my name?
Good Office Space reference right there.
What
would you do if you had $1 million?
Nothing. I would do nothing.
No, you can't say don't buy the. You can't say buy the Cleveland Cavaliers. What movie is that from?
I actually don't know.
Super Troopers.
Oh, nice. That's right. Damn it. George Karlaftis, 3 sacks in his first 4 games. He's got 1 sack in his last 5. And as he said, you don't check numbers, you'll check them at the end of the season. Right now, the end of the season is pacing for like 7.5. We'll see what he had 10.5 last year. But again, the end of the season, he might have 12 or 13. But he started off pretty quickly and pretty hot, 3 sacks in 4 games. But that number has slowed down with just the 1 in the last 5 games. We need to take a break. We'll do that. We'll come back. More Zone right after this.
fun break.
It was fun. You know what? There's some fun times that happen in the breaks every once in a while. Some college football going on this weekend. Fun games ahead of all three of the teams. Kansas State, 7.5-point favorites over Arizona State, 6 o'clock there in Manhattan. Mizzou and South Carolina. Missouri is a 14-point underdog, 3:15 on the SEC Network. And then,
Whoa, is it up to 14 now?
Uh-huh. Yep. And then KU at BYU is a 2.5-point spread for the Cougs. That is 9:15 on ESPN. I like KU and K-State to win. Yeah, I like KU and K-State to win. I think South Carolina wins tomorrow over Mizzou.
Oh, what is Brady still questionable?
Yeah, it's
I would
probably
say,
still leaning Pine.
Yeah, the line has moved towards South Carolina, so I'm guessing that's them thinking that Brady Cook's not going to play. Although Drew Pine, when they just simply let him play, like
in the
he
fourth
was
quarter.
better.
Well, the whole
He was
plan
good,
of, hey,
yeah.
maybe throw the ball to Theo Weiss and Luther Burden. Somehow that play is actually the good one.
Well, you know what? That's
Shocking.
obvious. You don't want to be obvious as an offensive
Tell me
coordinator.
that's an offensive coordinator's mindset. It's just too obvious to get it to our guys that win every matchup and are open all the time.
So go 4 for 4 for -2 yards. We want you to only throw 5 yards behind the line of scrimmage. That's what we want from you.
I'm telling you,
they're never going to see it coming.
It's like with bands, man. Play the hits.
Exactly. Play the hits. Oh, embrace Carlton. Third time today. 913-912-4810. Let's get into who is lighting it up as we find out who's been playing some good/great in whatever they're doing. Sports ball or life ball, whatever they do for their profession. We'll go through who is lighting it up. Sterling, you got somebody who is lighting it up right now?
Yeah, I'm going with Victor Wembanyama. His last game,
50.
Wednesday, dropped a...
Wednesday.
On Wednesday. dropped
Get it? Because he had 50 on Wednesday. Go ahead.
Dropped a 50 spot. He has been just insane. His last 3 games, he was 24 and 16 rebounds with 7 blocks. Game following that, he had 34 and 6 and then 50 and 6, shooting above 50% from the three-point line in his last 3 games. Victor Wembanyama has been the reason why you typically I hate tanking, but for that one particular season, I at least understand why teams do, because a guy who was, how tall is he? Is he 7'6"? 7'3".
feel like, not quite that.
But he
like
reads at a 7'6" level.
At a 7'6" level.
He's playing up.
He is Kevin Durant, but at a couple inches. I mean,
he's playing it.
He's in the
an
7'6"
age older.
kid pitch league.
He's playing an age older than.
But he really
typically.
does look like a taller Kevin Durant. Is basically what his game is like. It is just ridiculous to watch.
Yep, he's been pretty good, and that career high on Wednesday. You can't get it out of my head now.
Can I try it too? Can I try it?
Yeah, go ahead. Try
Wednesday. Oh, I can't do it.
Idiot.
It's Tuesday, isn't it?
Who's lighting it up for you, Mick Schaefer?
I'm gonna go with Saquon Barkley. I watched all of the Giants offseason Hard Knocks, and they told me he was washed, basically, and not worth money at all. And I'm checking right now the standings in the NFC.
Oh, they're pretty
and
good.
The Giants are 2-8, and the Eagles are 8-2. A huge game last night. That one touchdown run. He wasn't touched all the way to the end zone, and then he peeled around the sideline and somehow wasn't touched by all the people on the sideline till like one of his own linebackers just like kind of lit him up in celebration. And then this is coming out on the heels of the backwards jump over the dude. Was it last week or 2 weeks ago? The guy, is an exception to that running back rule, and he's leading the NFL in rushing at this point. Granted, he's got this week under his belt already, but Joe Shane, maybe try a little bit harder. Maybe be on the owner's side on that one and keep him around.
What I do find interesting is I talk about all the time, the game is cyclical, and you're seeing lighter linebackers, a lot more pass coverage linebackers. That's why I think you've seen a resurgence of...
This is maybe the best point you've ever made.
Thank you. But like Derrick Henry, Saquon Barkley, just think it's something fascinating to keep an eye on at least.
Yeah. Dylan, you got somebody lighting it up, or I'll go? It's up to you. Dealer's choice.
I'm gonna go with Jake Paul and Mike Tyson. They're lighting it up tonight because we are going to watch a 20-something-year-old fight a 50-year-old, and I am really excited for it.
Here's the deal. We're talking about love for Mike Tyson. If Jake Paul was fighting anybody, I think I would cheer for the other person, unless it's Logan Paul.
I haven't
Wait, is
even
that the other?
watched.
Is that the
like
brother?
I hate him. No, I don't hate
And
him.
I think they're
But
legit
like,
boxers, but it's like
Yeah,
YouTubers and like.
But he hasn't really fought an actual boxer
Yeah,
yet.
that's where I kind of am like, that's a stretch where, yes, he's in the ring. Yes, he's probably trained enough to be an actual boxer, but he hasn't faced an actual boxer. He picks and chooses.
Question: do you think? Okay, I've looked at like the preliminary card and then the main event card. I think there's 5, maybe 6 fights beforehand, but they start at like 5 or 6 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
Will that fight be started by 10 o'clock tonight?
So if you
That's the
go,
plan. I looked it up.
If you go to DraftKings right now, they've got it listed at 10:55.
Is there a bet on that?
Is that Eastern or Central?
Yeah. Mine comes through in Central.
Okay, good,
Yikes,
great.
so not
Because I
great.
want to be back from the high school game in time to watch that.
Well,
that
I wanted to know if I'm going to go to a bar and watch it, or if I'm going to have to
Mike
watch
Tyson
it at my crib.
right
you
now.
don't have Netflix?
Oh, I do have Netflix, but I didn't know if I wanted
on
to
Net-
go
Oh, I see.
like
I
and
see.
experience it with folk, or if I just wanted to just chill in my basement like I'm Steven Glansberg.
Mike Tyson is plus 195. Jake Paul is minus 245.
I don't know who that is.
Super bad reference.
Minus
Okay,
245 for Jake Paul, plus 195 for Mike Tyson. That has it listed at 10:55. But if the other fights go quicker,
Who's favored?
Jake Paul is minus 245.
He's favored.
Yep, Tyson is plus 125.
Okay,
What I said about the fight is, I in the first 3 rounds, I'll take Tyson. If it goes past
Sure,
3, then Jake Paul's younger, probably in better shape, and can probably, bite, well, not bite, but box and fight and point a little bit better as the match and fight continues. But early on in the first 3 rounds, if Jake Paul is left slipping a little, Tyson will knock him out.
Question, because I'm in the same boat as you, and I think a lot of people are. Why do we hate the Pauls? Like, I don't like
I
the
like
guy.
Chris Paul.
But what is it? No, I like
A lot of
Chris
people
Paul.
hate Chris Paul in
but
the
why,
NBA.
why don't we like Logan and
Jake?
Like, I'm with you. I see their face, and I'm automatically just like, I don't like that guy.
I don't know. I think maybe is it the profession of YouTuber? He's never done anything to me. I've seen some of their stuff. It's fine where they're giving tattoos to buddies like every day. They're doing crazy stuff in their house. And
I've never seen
all
that one time.
Yeah, I just I don't know. And maybe part of it's just that old school. Mayweather, right? Is what the other one fought. He fought not or no. Who'd he fight? Who'd he fight? Who'd Logan Paul fight?
I don't know.
Oh gosh, and he almost won.
Was it Ben Askren or
He kicked Ben Askren's ass.
Was
Right,
it
because
not?
they were fighting
Right,
like
Ben Askren.
non
It was Floyd
boxers.
Mayweather, right? Was it?
No, it wasn't Floyd.
Was it Roy Jones?
No. Oh God.
Was it
Oh,
Holyfield?
I know who you're talking about.
Was it
now.
Riddick Bowe? It wasn't Ali. Was it Clay?
That was it. Anyway, I don't know if it's just like the whole like wanting to think you can jump right in this professional sport and be great and all that stuff.
De La Hoya?
God, no, he's like one of the most famous boxers of all time. Guys.
Nate
I think
Robinson.
He was way smaller than.
I mean, I'm
Manny
naming-
Pacquiao.
I'm naming like famous boxers of all time.
Manny
You know what I mean?
Pacquiao's my favorite boxer of all time.
Joe Louis?
Buster Douglas.
No, it's not Buster Douglas.
I hate everybody.
No. Not him. So yeah, that's coming up tonight. That's on Netflix. We'll see. We played the legacy of.
Yeah, he fought Floyd Mayweather.
There you go.
It like went the distance.
Yeah, clearly.
What?
Yeah, but wasn't that like?
Yeah, not at
But
all.
I mean,
But
he's
that was
so
like-
much
that was
bigger.
like
That's why I said like
for show, though,
weight
right?
classes matter.
I didn't watch that one, but wasn't the reaction from that like that it
Mayweather
wasn't-
just
it was
hung around and wanted to
kind
go
of just
along.
got a paycheck, It was kind of a this thing needs to last a little bit longer, and let's do a little show here. I don't know if that's the case or not. All right, but who's lighting it up for me? You know what, Dylan? Find this clip from yesterday. I said we were going to play it with Mick, so let's do it right now. Who is lighting it up for me is this particular person on TikTok, and I need to find out his name because I have lost it. But who's lighting it up is him creating this AI commentary of Al Michaels and Kirk Herbstreit last Thursday when Derrick Henry had his pants pulled down. If you saw that, Derrick Henry was tackled. He was tackled from the back of his trousers. They were pulled down, and Derrick Henry ended up, exposed to a degree. Yeah, he got pants. He got pants, absolutely. So this is AI generated, by the way, but this is the Al Michaels and Kirk Herbstreit commentary that we did not get and we all deserve.
1st and 10. Jackson gives it to Henry. Henry getting some nice penetration.
Uh-oh, did you see that?
Looks like there's a full moon out in Baltimore tonight, folks.
It looked like Derrick Henry's full ass was out there.
And there's a flag down on the field.
Oh, boy, that's going to be unnecessary ass on the Ravens out.
Looks like the refs are getting together to discuss it.
Yeah, and they might have to take another look at this one to see if it was 2 cheeks or 1. You can have 1 ass cheek exposed, but as soon as you have 2, well, that's a penalty for too much ass on the play out.
God.
That's right. And
Hey,
all
guys, gonna ruin
plays
us.
involving an ass are automatically reviewed by Roger Goodell himself. Look, you can see Henry. There's 1. Oh, and yep, there's the other one. What do you think, Kirk? Was that a penalty?
Well, I think it was. I mean, you just can't do that on primetime television. It's 2024. Someone will be offended.
Here's the official ruling.
Personal foul, unnecessary ass. Offense number 22. That's an automatic turnover on downs. First down, Cincinnati.
Oh, wow. So they do end up taking the penalty there.
That is a huge blow for the Baltimore Ravens.
That's pretty good. I've been paying attention to the Biden-Trump AI memes where they're horseback riding together, taking baths together, Cialis style.
Some of it can be really funny. Some of it may be dangerous, in the future.
That was a good one because it wasn't too over the top. Sometimes you get in and people try
Yes.
too hard. Like that
You can
was a
have
smattering of
one
ass.
ass cheek or 2. Let's see. Oh, nope, there's 2.
There's
2. It was at Gully Studios on TikTok. But
That's good.
Here's the deal. In 5 years, you guys will be able to say whatever you want on radio and just claim that AI did it.
That's a
That
great
wasn't
point.
me.
That's a great
AI.
point.
That's AI generated, and everybody will believe you.
During cuts, I didn't say it.
That wasn't me.
AI
Wasn't
did.
me.
AI,
That was Gully Studios.
Alan Iverson said that. It was not me. Also, by the way,
Shaggy said that, actually.
some of the replies that
thought it was real.
Thought it was serious.
Yeah,
One of them was
people
like,
are dumb.
"This is ridiculous because he didn't have anything to do with that. Like that is way too punitive of a penalty. The NFL needs to look at this again." Like there were a number of replies like that, and I thought, what a world to live in. That you would see that TikTok and watch it being an NFL player just labeled unusual penalty and say, oh, I'm going to watch this because I'm an NFL fan enough to check this out, and then not know that that is complete and total
Well,
satire.
you
But
can't
whatever.
be caked up on national television. You can't just be.
You can't do that on
Can't
national.
do that, no.
Unnecessary
No.
ass.
It's 2024.
It was
Somebody's gonna
automatic
be triggered.
Automatic turnover
Somebody's
on
gonna be offended.
downs. Automatic turnover. Oh, wow. That's going to be.
So they're going to take the penalty.
They're going to take the penalty. It's going to hurt the Ravens. Automatic turnover on downs. That's who's lighting it up for me, because maybe he was lighting it up when he came up with that AI as well. I'm not sure. All right, let's get into the weekend and the matchup for the Kansas City Chiefs and the Buffalo Bills. Sterling, do you have a thought as to how the game will go and a score in mind?
Yeah, I lowered it a couple points. I was going a little bullish with the Chiefs offense, but with Harrison Butker being out, I'm going to drop a couple points down with, Amari Cooper with being questionable and having the hand issue. Obviously, no Keon Coleman, no Dalton Kincaid. I'm going to go 24-23. Sorry, 23-24 Chiefs.
Do not ever say that. I'll kill you. I will kill you. You do not need to be in sports.
We had,
I am.
we had a whole bit. Yes, I said
my
I was
turn,
going to mess
Sterling.
with.
My turn.
I've killed people for that.
That was verbatim.
I've killed people for that.
The Dalton Kincaid injury matters. Amari Cooper having to wear a cast, I think, matters. The Bills' defense is not the same Bills' defense that we remember it to be. The Chiefs' defense is better than the Bills' defense is. And the Bills have less weapons. The Chiefs are, I believe, built for this particular matchup against the Bills, where without Cooper, we'll see if he plays. He'll be wearing a cast if he is. But without Kincaid and without Keon Coleman, James Cook and Ray Davis and Josh Allen using their legs, I think this team is built for that. And the offense should be able to expose some of the weaknesses and the issues for the Buffalo Bills. I certainly think this is the best chance for the Chiefs to lose the rest of the way, but I'm not picking them until they do. I've got the Chiefs winning 17-21.
Mick, what are your thoughts on
life?
European,
I want it over.
the way that European countries do dates, like when they write down.
Oh, do they do it? They
do
do
it,
like
yeah,
the day first.
Yeah,
The Europeans are.
It's 15-11.
I was gonna say, on this day of 15,
Actually, we
11,
might be doing that
24.
backwards.
15,
I don't care
11,
about that. I'm
24.
about the score, okay?
Yeah.
So
I've
did
got
you
it-
guys pick the Chiefs to win? I can't
Yeah,
tell.
17-21. I've got the Chiefs winning 17-21 this weekend.
Yeah, 23-24 Kansas City over the Bills. I feel so awkward.
You sound like a baseball.
You
sound like a baseball parent when their team is losing. What's the score? 7-10.
7-10. We need 3 more
winning?
points.
Well, I said 7. Oh God.
We need 3 more points.
How many points?
I coached my wife up
how many points have you scored?
I coached my wife up so good on that. Like she would start correcting other people in the stands. She's like, no, you say 12-10 them. You always say the higher score first.
Somehow this came up yesterday, and we had mentioned how much it bothers you. So we said, well, when we make our predictions tomorrow, we should say the lower score first. Dylan, what do you got?
I throw up. I'll throw up.
Man. I'm going to go.
Mick hasn't gone first, so I know you can't copy off him.
That's why I'm really lost here.
Yeah.
Hey, buddy, I'll copy off you.
Oh, that's perfect.
Unless he does the lower score first.
And then I'll murder you.
Yeah, I do need to get back
What's
in
the difference between 2 murders and 3? I'm still going away.
I'm going to go 27-30.
Oh, fuck off.
Chiefs, yeah.
What'd you just say?
27-30 Chiefs.
You're telling me to what off?
No, I didn't say that.
He didn't say anything.
He didn't? Okay.
I didn't hear anything. Mick, what are you going with?
Yeah. A normal score.
Those are all normal scores.
They're not normal scores. It's not how life is led.
It's so unnormal. I actually had to think about it.
It's so weird.
I messed up. I had a good take.
I wrote it wrong. I wrote 27-30, and then I'm like, whoops, 30-27.
I had a good take, but this has just thrown me off. No, I think the Chiefs. I know the regular season, postseason thing, but they have something to play for, and when the Chiefs have something to play for, you have their attention. They ramp it up a notch, and going undefeated is now their charge, and it's not like, okay, we can take this regular season game off. Not that was their attitude, but maybe not full in on it, because that's what they're doing in the playoffs. They're playing for something, and it's alive here. So I like the Chiefs to have the higher score of 31 and the Bills to have the lower score of 27. We were pretty close there.
27-31. Interesting.
No, 31-28. Did I say 27? I
meant
meant
27.
Okay, 28. 31-28.
28. Okay, 28-31. Okay.
Why don't you just put the hyphen first?
What's the score? -3128? What is that even? So one team has 3,128?
I remember I killed a guy with a flashlight once just for saying the score backwards.
So I'm holding the bat.
Yeah, but it was self-defense, though. The court ruled in your favor.
It was justifiable. Yeah.
Your attorney did a great job of getting sports fans on the jury. So that was good. Prosecution really missed the boat on that one. They didn't get all the people wearing their Chiefs and Royals and sports memorabilia and merchandise there showing up for court. That didn't work. And the kicker, who was it? Was it Brandon Aubrey? Who was the kicker that had to go to jury duty? He didn't miss the game.
Yeah, I think it was Brandon Aubrey. Yeah,
he had to go to jury duty for a couple of days.
With all the things happening in Dallas with the Cowboys, that was one of the more minor things now at this point.
Yeah, but he got let off because of the sunshine law.
Was it for Rashid Rice's case?
No, it was not.
I was down there.
I went with the sun joke.
Oh, okay.
Jerry World. All right, so we should take a timeout then. We should do that. We should definitely take a timeout. All right, my prediction: Lee Summit North wins tonight. Who cares about Mill Valley and Aquinas? Nobody's going to be watching that game. Does anybody care?
No, we don't care because we know.
Mill Valley. Does anybody care about Mill Valley and Aquinas
Running
tonight?
clock
You
after the
guys are
third
just
quarter.
here to kill me right now, aren't you?
Blue Valley North versus St. James.
St. James will win.
It's going to be nice for the Aquinas team to get the backups in around the third quarter, and we're up by 21
God, you
points.
sound like every Aquinas fan I
I
know.
got 34-37 Aquinas. That's a double edge. Oh, that's two knives in the back for Mick. You got Mill Valley winning tonight, Mick?
Of course. It'll be an epic game. It is just all I've thought about for a week. No big deal.
Yeah.
And I'll puke beforehand, probably.
should.
Drink heavily. All that,
But that's not correlation causation.
Yeah.
No, it's not. Two different things.
Yes, two different reasons.
We have a good wager on this here,
You do?
Some QT Snackles.
QT.
Wow, he's very confident he wouldn't give me any points, though.
No,
Whoa,
I don't need to.
nice.
I don't need to.
10-1
Well,
coffees that
it's
Blue
not
Valley
fair
North
for Mick.
beats St. James.
What's that?
10-1 on coffees. You're confident that St. James is going to win.
10-1.
Yeah, I get 10
St.
coffees,
James.
and if
Blue Valley North wins.
wins,
But if St. James wins,
I'll
you
give
get one
5.
coffee.
10 is dumb. 5, sure.
7.
Fine. 7.
You better hope Aquinas doesn't win because the
How many
order.
high school games have you watched this year?
0.
Yeah.
He had to look up who they were playing earlier.
I didn't
in the show.
know.
So,
He didn't even know they're in 5A.
I didn't know they were 5A. I thought they were still 6A. Sorry
Yes.
that back in my day.
Oh, wow.
If you thought I had
6A
specific
school.
orders in the past from Quick Trip as well, you better
Oh,
hope I don't, because it is
God.
going to be.
I have to go like an hour early.
Brilliant. Yeah, and everybody agrees Lee Summit
What is
wins tonight,
extra
so there's
Hey,
no-
dude, Lee Summit was up
Rooster
20
booster.
on the Broncos in the regular season that game.
That was their chance. Blew it.
Might have been. You might be right. I think they're the best team in the city. I'm cheering for them because that's Mill Valley's only loss.
Is North?
Is Lee Summit North.
Yep. We'll see tonight. If I wasn't going to that game, I'd be at Mill Valley and Aquinas.
Well, you know what?
taking
You
little
can
man
record it because it's the game of the week on Spectrum.
How about that? We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. Cuts coming up next. pass, a complete pass like Rockhurst last year, then they'll be fine and probably win state. Let's get the cuts going, shall we? Since everybody agrees with all of that. Cut it away, Dylan.
Going from Will Levis and Mason Rudolph to Patrick Mahomes has a grown man crying on the field. I mean, that just...
That's what happened.
Do not defame former Oklahoma State quarterbacks in my presence again. That's two things now.
What else you got there? Bag of meat? I brought you guys some beef from Greengrass Cattle Company. Pete, had I known it was your birthday, I would have brought you some of my meat, but I
Steven can have your meat.
This is a...
This is his birthday. It's Greengrass Cattle Company, you know?
Meat.
Just being nice.
How important is that side of it as well to make sure his confidence is up?
Yeah, sure. I mean, that's all part of it. That's all part of coaching. I'd probably say it's the same way in your business. If you're not confident, you're probably not going to talk very well.
It's true. 100%.
Is that my problem?
Yes. Confidence killer. Iola had his worst game.
Wait, the town in Kansas, Iola?
No. And Dylan Raiola. Whatever. Dylan Raiola. He's been so good that you know who I was trying to think of his name. It's not Tommy Townsend.
The
Chiefs punter. Ariza.
Ariza.
Go ahead and mark that for Friday.
The look on my face.
A lot of vowels in both those names.
I was perplexed. I was just like,
I don't know why Raiola was in my mind, but anyway, go ahead.
Buy me, baby.
And now we have the
You can
sprint
totally
campus.
buy me. You can buy me.
Absolutely. I got a price.
And now we
lower
have,
than you think, too.
Yes. 2 hours left.
I'm getting really nervous that I don't get traded by Jason. I'm really nervous that Jason's going to trade
we're
me.
being aggressive in trying to move you.
Shit me. He's got a cheap contract. It's movable.
Yeah, that's right. You don't have to pay much with the prorated salary.
People already know we're going to release you at the end of the
Wow.
We are not negotiating from a position of strength. We do not have the high ground right now. By the way, he did say ship, as in a ship.
Gotcha.
Me. Go ahead.
I don't like popping my peas.
Okay, very good. Keep going, Dylan.
Last one, anyone? Thanks, Coach.
Warm out.
Good morning. Good afternoon. Good morning. Morning, afternoon. I never know. Keep going. You did.
That's your excuse. It wasn't the front of my hand. That was your excuse.
That does sound
the
like
back
petting.
of my hand. It'd be more like a
caress.
A caress is probably the better word.
That didn't get better for you.
Yeah, no,
that
actually
did not
sounds
get
worse.
better.
Sterling knows there's no fingerprints that way.
There's no fingerprints that way. But
Psycho.
there's a reason why it says the back of the hand. Thank you, Dylan. God.
He rubbed Harold Kuntz's
crested.
jacket, sport jacket.
What's
at the
wrong with
game.
that?
It's just weird.